Four guys, one simple idea: to try everything. This was the building foundations of what the Try Guys were originally about. Just four friends in 2014 who wanted to create content together where they would be trying fun new things every single week for the entertainment of the BuzzFeed audience. You had Keith, Eugene, Zach, and Ned, all known for their unique, quirky, and entertaining personalities. These personalities went a long way. They established a giant audience. People out there absolutely loved the Try Guys, and every single member was known for a different thing. In particular, one of them, Ned Fulmer, who could arguably be called the most loved member of the group, was known for one specific thing.
My wife, 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 my wife.
Yes, Ned Fulmer was known primarily for being the wife guy in Try Guys. And Ned was an absolutely beloved figure in the Try Guys community, someone who had built a trusting connection with the audience, which was mainly built on the foundations of Ned being a lovely human being, a family man who just wanted to help his friends, love his wife, and his two children. And whilst I don't claim to have ever been a major fan of the Try Guys, I can definitely see from afar that at a point of time in 2014 to 2022, the Try Guys in general were just built on a place of wholesomeness, entertainment, and just in general being a channel where you could go and just know that you're going to get positivity, laughs, and entertainment. It was never anything negative, it was never anything dramatic, it was always just there for the audience to have a good time, switch off their brains, and consume whatever they were putting out that week. It was a tried and tested formula, and overall it was a wonderful and successful thing. The Try Guys absolutely exploded in popularity over the decade of 2014 to 2022, and in general this became one of the most successful YouTube channels in the world. It just seemed like something that really could never go wrong. Well, until things did go wrong. Because yes, every single YouTuber at one point of time will face controversy, and the Try Guys sadly faced one of the biggest controversies in YouTube history. Because 8 years into Ned Fulmer being one of the main creators at the Try Guys, a monumental controversy hit after in 2022, Ned Fulmer was exposed for one specific thing that absolutely changed his life, his family's life, and overall the trajectory of where the Try Guys would go in their future. And recently, that story has come back into public consciousness due to a lot of updates that have happened recently, so what I want to do in this video is explore pretty much the entire timeline from 2022 to 2025, so I can kind of explain to you how we got to where we are now in October 2025, or whenever you're watching this. Because overall, this video will aim to show that yes, you can do something bad, you can run away, but the internet will never forget. But before we dive into any of that, I just want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Aura. Because if you ever Googled yourself, a friend, or a family member and discovered that there is an alarming amount of information about you, your family, and friends online right now, publicly available, things like phone numbers, past addresses, or details that you just never really expected to be public, it's all there, possibly on the internet right now, and it's unsettling to realize that yes, anyone can access this. And that is where Aura comes into things. Because Aura is an all-in-one digital security solution that helps protect your personal information. Their powerful data broker opt-out tool removes your data from people's search sites and data brokers, which are places that sell your information to scammers, identity thieves, and more. Pretty much the sole goal of Aura is just to remove all of this personal information from the internet so you can be safe, but it doesn't end there. Because they also offer identity theft protection by monitoring your personal data across billions of data points, where they can protect things such as your phone numbers or social security numbers that could possibly be on the dark web or in public records, and if anything suspicious comes up, you will get an alert right away. And to make things even better and more safe for you, Aura are also offering this great deal of up to 5 people can be on your Aura account, where they will all receive $1 million in identity theft protection, which adds up to $5 million overall in coverage to help with eligible losses and fees. But the deal doesn't even end there, because Aura also includes a VPN, antivirus protection, a password manager, and 24/7 US-based customer support, all bundled into one affordable package. And because of that, I'm not leaving myself and my family exposed to data breaches, and you should not either. So head over to aura.com/inabber to try Aura for free for 2 weeks, and that is plenty of time to see if any of your personal data has already been compromised. Stay safe online with Aura, and yes, thank you so much for sponsoring this video, Aura, and with that, let's get into things. 2022 was a year. That's honestly about it. To be honest with you, 2022 was a year that I think a lot of us we just kind of want to forget it and move on. It was the year of that one Stranger Things song, and it was also the year of where everything just came tumbling down for the Try Guys and Ned Fulmer. And what I want to do in this chapter is explore that. I want to go through the rumors that started circulating to what transpired after that, which then all leads into 2025, when Ned Fulmer's career is pretty much just dead in the water. And I'm not just saying that to be an outright hater. When you go and look at his new project that we will get into later, it's getting around 1,600 views in 24 hours. Which, given everything, it's not really looking good for the bloke. Like, I'm not joking. My Instagram stories genuinely perform better than that in a few hours, and that's not me trying to flex or promote well, I am trying to promote the Instagram. You can go and follow it if you want to, but it says a lot that this once massive superstar on social media is now struggling to get 2,000 views. I honestly think you guys could all match that and do far better. And I guess the question is well, how did Ned get to this point? What did this man do which truly turned the internet against him and caused his audience to abandon him? Well, publicly, it all starts in September of 2022. Because the first clue to what happened in this story begins on September the 1st, 2022, when Ned Fulmer and Alex were seen at a Harry Styles concert. And you know, this is nothing really out of the ordinary for a co-worker and a co-worker to go out and go to a public event. Maybe they were with friends, maybe they were with other co-workers. It's not exactly normal to befriend somebody in your workplace, but I just also need to put a reminder into something that I mentioned earlier. Ned Fulmer at this point of time was known as the wife guy. He was in a marriage with Ariel Fulmer, they had 2 children, and with that, keep that in your mind and let's move further on. Because I now want to read you the description of the photos that I just showed you, which alludes to something interesting. It states, "I passed them on your way to the 200 level on the escalators. It was 9 p.m. and we were running to our seats because Harry was about to go on and the escalators were basically empty. I got a selfie. Alex seemed annoyed that I recognized them and was talking to them. It was just the 2 of them and I didn't see anyone else, but they might have been joined by people in their seats. But we thought if that were the case, there would be some pics shared on social media and we kept our eyes open for them, but nobody posted anything." Now, in fairness, at face value, I don't see any issue with what was being said here. Alex could have probably been irritated because she wanted to get back to her seat, because yes, they were at a Harry Styles concert and they did not want to miss the performance. And I should just say, one of the executive producers at the Try Guys was also at this event, but there was no photos with Ned and Alex, but it does just show that there were multiple people there, and it doesn't necessarily just mean that Alex and Ned went to this concert by themselves. And also, even if they did go to this concert by themselves, I really wouldn't have a problem. It's a pretty normal thing to befriend a coworker, as I mentioned earlier, so at this point of time, I don't really think there's anything sinister going on until we get into the further stuff. Because 2 days later, things started to amp up a bit on September the 3rd, 2022, in a post titled Ned, and it was dubbed as Serious, where the user states, "Multiple people have seen Ned around New York City this week, making out with women at local bars. It is unfortunate for Ariel, his family, and the Try Guys, but this is true. Now yes, this does allude to some very serious things here, but at the end of the day, there was no proof attached, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I get a lot of DMs of people claiming a lot of things about a lot of people, and I usually just, I just read them and just never respond to them, because there's never any proof, there's never any evidence, just this person did this and this person did that, and it's, again, the same for this post here. I feel like if you're gonna come onto social media and post an allegation like this, you ultimately need to come with some level of evidence, because the person they're speaking about here in particular is a family man. He's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got a business and a reputation that he needs to maintain, and I don't think it's fair to just go about these types of allegations without giving any proof. And yeah, as you guys know, this person clearly eventually went on to agree with me as he started to share proof. Because this is where user Hamilton390 comes into things, who is seemingly the original poster, who stated, "Are you one of the people who wanted proof?" The user then responds, "Yes, please." And then with that, there is a screenshot sent which shows multiple messages stating, "Hi, I was just wondering if Blurred was in NYC, because if so, there's something you need to know about, unfortunately." The user then responds, "Yeah, she was. Why?" So basically, I went out to Niagara the club last night and saw her making out with Ned from the Try Guys. I have videos if needed. She was wearing a red dress, I don't know if that helps, and then they reply with, "Please send them to me, thanks." Yeah, things aren't looking good. Where was this? Last night? No worries, my apologies, I'm so sorry. Yes, last night. What time? Around 1 to 3 a.m. Where was this? Niagara by NYU. Okay, thank you. And then, at the bottom is a screenshot where you can see a man who does look suspiciously like Ned Fulmer making out with a random woman. And yes, this is when people started to really get talking, because now it's not just an allegation, there is seemingly a man out there who looks suspiciously like Ned getting off with another woman, and I think a lot of people were worried because it only got worse from there. Did you see anything else? Was it just them two? Just them two, nobody else. They weren't even trying to be private. The entire time they were making out, he was touching her too, all that stuff. Okay, thanks. Just spoke to Ariel for an hour. Cool. I DM'd her as well. Hope you both have a great night. If there's anything else, I'll let you know. Now, this is something that always kind of made me laugh. The first time I saw this, I was just like, have a great night. You've just informed the wife of 2 children and a husband that their entire life is basically a lie and their husband is cheating on them. But have a great night. I get the sentiment, I do. Like, you're not just going to be like, oh yeah, I hope you're miserable now. You want to have some like courtesy about it, but I don't think anyone's going to have a great night after this, because yes, this was basically a snowball which then turned into an avalanche. Because yes, this did look a lot like Ned Fulmer, and the internet got talking. People in Reddit forums, people on Twitter, TikTok, they were analyzing these photos and trying to work out, surely this is not the supposed wife guy. It was just a shock for a lot of people out there, and I think a lot of people at this point of time were in denial. Surely this is a publicity stunt. It's not Ned, it's someone that just looks like Ned, and people out there were just worried that this story and allegation was actually true. And it only continues when the Try Guys uploaded a YouTube video that day titled "Keith Eats Everything at a Vegas Buffet." Now, what's interesting about this video is everyone from the regular Try Guys crew features bar 2 individuals, Ned Fulmer and Ariel Fulmer. And people at the time were coping, saying, oh, well, maybe Ned was just not featuring in this video, and maybe Ariel was just not in the video, and, you know, it's just a big coincidence, and surely he's not cheating. Well, I guess that could be true if this post didn't exist, where you could see somebody posted, "Had the pleasure of taking care of the Try Guys this past week. Awesome group of guys, and funny as hell. go subscribe to their YouTube channel and keep an eye out for our new Vegas video coming soon. And yes, in this post you can see Ned Fulmer. And of course that caused a lot of speculation to start ramping up even more, because people were now pointing out the fact that, well, it did seem that the Try Guys themselves were actually removing Ned Fulmer from shoots of videos that they had already done and uploading the videos with him fully edited out. And because of that, people were coming to the conclusion that these rumors weren't just rumors, and Ned Fulmer had absolutely cheated on his wife. And more things were really only contributed to this fire after that. Because in mid-September of 2022, the Try Guys made a post stating that they're moving to one video a week so they could focus on content for the holidays. Which I guess could be considered like a normal thing. Maybe it makes sense, but realistically, given the rumors, given the photos that were circulating at the time and all the Reddit posts and claims being made about Ned Fulmer, it all did just seem very coincidental. And meanwhile, during all of this controversy, Ned was just posting like nothing was happening. He was making homemade pizza and he was going on bike rides with his children. And I guess these photos were shared to kind of try and convince the world that maybe all of these rumors were just, well, rumors and a complete misunderstanding, and maybe things were all gonna be fine. Maybe. But no, that did not happen, because more photos of Ned at a certain nightclub were being exposed by a Twitter user, Ned Fulmer Exposed, and yeah, this really did look like Ned Fulmer. And then images of Ned and the same woman were taken of them on some form of a date, supposedly. And there was even a video of this guy from behind in the same club from before. And yeah, I think at this point of time, everyone had kind of given up, hoping that this is some form of rumor, drama, people just seeking out things for no real reason. I think everyone kind of just realized that, oh, the wife guy was being unfaithful to his wife. And that was really only confirmed as the virality continued, and that led to family and friends unfollowing both Alex and Ned on Instagram, and Alex herself even limited her comments on Instagram as it was getting out of control, and tons of people were going to her account and asking questions and spreading hate. And honestly, it was just getting insane. I remember this happening in 2022, and at that point of time, I didn't really know who the Try Guys were, what they did, and I just saw Ned Fulmer cheats on his wife, Ned Fulmer does this, Ned Fulmer is Satan reincarnate, and I was like, what's going on here? And I started to look into it. I started to find out about the wife guy persona that he had, and then I saw, oh, this guy's in a nightclub getting cheeky with some person who he actually works with, but not just works with, but also employs, and a lot of ethical issues were coming into that as well, and it was just becoming a big old mess. And that all does come down to the fact that, well, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video and just now, for years Ned Fulmer had built up this reputation and brand of simply being a loving family man who could do no wrong. This guy made it a catchphrase to say my wife. He constantly spoke about his wife in high regard. He absolutely seemed to love her, and people loved him for it. They saw him as a trustworthy figure, someone they could look up to, and surely it was not all just one big lie. But I think what makes it even worse is he has these two kids, he has this wife, he has his business with his best friends, and he isn't even hiding it. They're not being nonchalant about this. They're doing this in public. They're allowing everybody to see like they don't have a care in the world. It genuinely felt like they were asking to be caught, because what do you mean you're going to nightclubs as a public figure with millions of subscribers and everyone knows you as the wife guy, yet you are going to then even risk that? To me, it almost shows who this guy is. It is a complete change in persona. It shows to us who we knew as Ned Fulmer, that was all fake, and this is the real Ned Fulmer, the guy who truly did think that he could get away with with pretty much everything, even if he was doing it in the public eye. And because of all these reasons that I'm listing here, of course, it all led to the conclusion of Ned Fulmer being removed from the Try Guys. Because yes, on the day of all of these photos coming out via the Ned Fulmer Twitter exposed account, the Try Guys finally addressed the situation in a post that stated, Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys as a result of a thorough internal review. We do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate this change. And I remember the social media world's reaction to this, the instantaneous level of shock of, oh, we all knew this was true, but the fact it's now been confirmed is absolutely crazy, and the fact he's being removed is even more crazy. Because what this post confirms to us is nobody other than Ned and the person he was cheating with, Alex, knew. They were the ones who hid this from everyone despite doing it in public, and they risked everything. The business, the family, the marriage, everything. And from this moment onward, you're going to see how much these decisions truly affected the lives of people around them. Ariel Fulmer's life was thrown into chaos, practically ruined for years because of these choices. The Try Guys in general was never really the same. Obviously, people stayed after Ned left, but it definitely was a sad, terrible stain on the reputation of the Try Guys, and since then, more members have left, and it's never really been the same sort of thing. And because of all of these things, you can understand why so many people were just upset and angry with Ned Fulmer in particular. One user stated, "I'm in shock. I feel so bad for Ariel and their kids, and also to the other Try Guys who have to pick up the pieces." And to be fair to another user, they made an actual good point stating that, well, this did actually give a wonderful rebranding opportunity of becoming the Tree Guys. But this was really the tip of the iceberg in what was going to come after all of these events involving Ned Fulmer, because like any piece of drama or any expose, it leads to other exposés coming, and that starts off with this post here. An old post resurfaced on Reddit, which at one point of time was just simply a joke of somebody stating, supposedly, one of them is gay. But the real situation was in the comment sections, as a reply said, a year before all of this controversy kicked off, I met them all at a bar once. The one whose shtick is I love my wife and kids was insanely creepy and tried to hook up with all of my friends. Now obviously I should say there was no proof attached to that, but given everything that's transpired in this timeline, I think it does become quite hard to not believe, because well, this is a guy who has very, very nonchalantly gone out in public and cheated on his wife with no care in the world that there are people with smartphones who can just take photos and videos at will, and he was just happy to do everything that he did. So excuse me if I actually do believe what is being said here, because honestly, this would be the least shocking thing yet. Would I be shocked if the guy that cheated on his wife that he has 2 kids with, that he's been married to for a very long time, whilst also cheating with an employee in a business that he runs with his 3 best friends, would go out on a night out and flirt creepily with random women that he's never met before? Would I be shocked about that? No, because the thing is with cheaters, especially ones in marriages, I think a lot of us, you know, we've all experienced divorces in terms of our parent, well, not all of us, some of you are lucky, but a lot of people have experienced family members going through divorces, and you know that if somebody cheats in a marriage, that's not something which just happens. That is a trait. That is something that someone will do again and again and again. So no, I would not be shocked if this post was real, because Ned has already participated in this behavior beforehand. If anything, he did it in a much more unbelievable circumstance with an employee who knows everyone in Ned's life. So yes, I would not be shocked if he would do it with people who had no idea who he was or who anyone in Ned's life was, because there would be realistically no consequences, because who would believe them? And that's really only proven in the fact that, well, that post was from over a year ago and there was no kicked up fuss about it, and everyone just dismissed it as complete and utter lies. And with all of this kicking off on social media, it really did start to feel that this whole wife guy persona persona that Ned had been building for years was actually just a deliberate tactic to hide the fact that this man was an absolute sleazeball who was violating his wife's trust in their marriage on the daily to a point of absolute no return. Because yeah, by him being known as such a wife guy, I feel like it makes it seem impossible that this guy is going out on the sly and cheating on his wife. I think it makes it sound so ridiculous because it's like, this is Ned Fulmer we're talking about. This is the guy that clearly loves his wife. I mean, he speaks about loving her all the time. But I think this whole situation is actually proof that actions mean more than words. Because the actions that this guy has displayed shows to us that he absolutely does not love his wife and does not care for his family. I know that sounds brutal, but if you're married and you have 2 children, you put them first over everyone. But Ned, just in every single situation seemingly, has put himself first. But the controversy didn't stop there, because the ethical issues that I mentioned previously came up as Ned was obviously cheating with an employee, a subordinate, and a lot of people started to focus on the power balance aspect of this story. Ned was a co-owner of the Try Guys. They hired an employee. Not only was he in a marriage, but he decided to engage in a not a relationship, but engage in something, an affair with this subordinate. And I don't know if that's a demonizing term, but it's somebody below the pecking order. He is in charge of what she does at that company. He pays her. There clearly is a power imbalance, and whilst it is a consensual relationship, it did kick up a conversation about power imbalances, bosses and employees engaging in those relations, and in particular engaging in affairs. And because of that, it made a lot of people uncomfortable. It made a lot of people say, hey, even if his wife forgives him, I don't necessarily forgive him myself, because I think it represents who Ned is as a human being. And I can understand where people were coming from in that argument, and it really did just seem at every single angle with Ned Fulmer, his entire persona that he had built up over the last decade from 2014 had just absolutely vanished in one day, and there was this new persona forming of this guy seemingly being a terrible individual. And because of all of this, this story started to go viral. This went outside of social media and started to become mainstream. Even TMZ were talking about this story, pointing out that amidst cheating allegations, Ned and Ariel were actually still wearing wedding rings when they were photographed together after all of this. And then more videos started to leak of Ned in public, seemingly with somebody that wasn't his wife, and it was just getting worse and worse. Some were even suggesting, as in people that apparently knew Ned, that this wasn't his first rodeo, basically implying that Ned had cheated multiple times. Again, I should just say that is an allegation and there was no proof attached. But at the end of the day, given all of the stuff we've seen so far and given the previous reports of him being creepy at bars, and yes, there was no proof, but things, they start to add up. If he's willing to do such a serious thing, why would he not be willing to do slightly less serious things in terms of being creepy or flirting at a bar with somebody that he doesn't know? So yeah, I would not also be shocked if this was not his first rodeo. A lot of people were also wondering how long did this affair go on for between Alex and Ned, because a lot of people out there were making the claims of, oh, maybe it was just one drunken mistake in one night where they just so happens to kiss on a night out. They drunk a little bit too much, like that would be a justification. But that was a claim a lot of people have made, and still to this day, certain individuals like to claim that this was just a mistake. But no, based on pretty much everyone's conclusion of loads of evidence being put together, this seemingly was an affair that went on for nearly a year. This was premeditated. This was an affair that lasted a severe amount of time. This was something that was not a drunken mistake. So if I hear someone saying, oh, we've all made mistakes, please listen to yourselves. But also, I know people that have been married for 30, 50 years, and they have never made a drunken mistake of kissing another individual. I don't think you can really use the argument of it being a mistake. Now, to be fair, at first there were some understandable reasons to why some thought that it might just be a little mistake rather than a long premeditated affair. And that does come from the fact that Ariel originally claims that they're trying to work things out in their marriage. But yeah, spoiler alert, it did not work out between Ariel and Ned. Because on October the 4th, 2022, the Try Guys finally uploaded a video on their main channel titled What Happened? And yes, you can tell from Eugene's facial expressions, this was not going to be a good video. This was not gonna look very good on Mr. Fulmer himself. And honestly, I remember seeing this response and thinking, this is a surprise. The Try Guys aren't like your regular YouTube channel. They've had affiliation with BuzzFeed in the past. They're a bit of a corporation, you know? Yes, they've got some real good entertainers in it and they've got some real good people in it, but at the end of the day, it was more of a corporate channel than just your regular guy speaking to a camera with a microphone in his hand. You know, there's a whole production team there. So to see an actual response to drama like this was an indication of how big this had gotten. It gotten so massive and out of control that they simply had to say something. And it all starts off with this.
Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys. By now, we're assuming you've seen the Reddit threads and TikToks and tweets and news articles. We want to give you a timeline of what's transpired and some transparency into our decision making. Throughout this video, there will be things that we want to say or go into further, but as I'm sure you're aware, there are some legal issues we have to consider as we go through everything.
On Labor Day weekend, multiple fans alerted us that they had seen Ned and an employee engaging in public romantic behavior. We reached out to check on that employee. Ned confirmed the reports and since confirmed that this had been going on for some time, which was obviously very shocking to us, and we just want you to know that we had no idea this was going on. All of that information was just as shocking to us as all of this has been for you this week.
And thus began a 3-week process of engaging with employment lawyers, corporate lawyers, HR, PR, and more, in order to make sure we were taking all necessary steps. From the jump, we were acutely aware of just how contrary this was to the values of the company we've built and those of everyone who works here. This is something we took very seriously. We refused to sweep things under the rug. That is not who we are, and it's not what we stand for.
We immediately removed Ned from work activities and engaged an HR professional to conduct a thorough review of the facts. We also opted to remove Ned from our releases pending the results of that review. Over a few weeks, that's included removing his section from videos, digitally removing him from others, and choosing not to feature him in our merch throws.
Yes, these guys weren't just visually angry, but you could tell they were just angry from the tone of their voice. This was far more... This is like the first and only ever serious Try Guys video. And it all comes down to the fact that their best friend had carelessly and ruthlessly thrown all of their lives into complete chaos and a social media apocalypse, all down to the fact that the man, Ned Fulmer, was selfish. Because this man had not just gambled with his marriage and his kids and his wife's life, but he'd also gambled with this business that he had spent years with his friends building. Like, it's just sounding bad, but if you're gonna cheat with everyone, at least find someone outside of the business, man. Like, it's so bait, it's so obviously a complete and utter recipe for disaster. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think that you weren't going to get caught eventually? Because I guarantee you, even if he wasn't going out in public and getting recorded by everyone, eventually someone in the business would find out. But yeah, in the video, Keith does make the claim that fans reached out to him on the 3rd of September 2022 to tell them about this controversy and what had been going on with Ned, which basically proves that all of those DMs that we previously went through are all completely legitimate. And honestly, there's one thing that I can say here, and that is it's good that these accounts weren't just coming onto Reddit and not saying anything to Ariel or the Try Guys. It seems that they actually reached out to all of them before coming onto social media, which I can appreciate because it does show that there was at least some care that went into this story. And what was clear from all of this is that the Try Guys were taking this extremely seriously.
Now, we can't talk about the details of the review, but suffice to say, we found that Ned had engaged in content conduct unbecoming of our team, and we knew that we could not move forward with him. So on Friday, September 16th, the three of us signed written consent of the members of Second Try LLC approving the removal of Ned as a manager and an employee.
Now, I remember when this video first came out, and whilst everyone at the time was in complete agreement with the Try Guys, there was a bit of a vocal minority of people that were stating this is all way too overdramatic, this doesn't need to be on social media, deal with this behind closed doors. But I actually completely disagree with you. Ned's whole branding had been clearly exposed as a complete lie. This person that they thought they had known for years was actually the complete opposite to who they were, who they'd been building a life and business with. So I can't blame these guys for coming out and speaking about this, but also, as we've seen, this story was getting out of control. It was in the global media. TMZ were talking about it, going around following all of them with cameras. This was so big, and the only person's fault that this has gone public is Ned. Ned didn't need to do any of these things, and he has forced these people into going public about this. In fact, you can pretty much tell from what they're saying in this video and other videos in the future that they didn't want to come out and have to speak about this. They're just there to make fun YouTube videos for their audience, but they have been forced into this position. And it's simple. If you don't want this to happen to you, then don't cheat on your wife that you have 2 children with. So yeah, I can really understand their anger, in particular Eugene's visual rage in this video. Like, this is something which is so weird to see, because if you go back and watch the old videos, Eugene is like a lovely dude, but in this video, the man is absolutely fuming, and I completely get it. Now, this video uploaded by the Try Guys was only 5 minutes long, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone was really expecting them to get onto social media and tell the entire story. I think most people kind of expected a bit of a PR response, and in fairness to these guys, I don't think that was that. It was quick, it was concise, it was to the point, it reflected their anger and disappointment and enrage at what Ned had done, and I think for the main channel this absolutely was enough, because it let us know the truth, it let us know what was going on, and it let the world know that this story was over. This was no longer something that they wanted to be a part of, and they just had to separate themselves from Ned. But sadly, yeah, obviously, this whole thing went even more viral because of this. For all of the reasons that I mentioned before, such as this being such an unusual situation to see the Try Guys in, but also it confirmed everything. The whole personality of Ned Fulmer had been a lie, and the only person that knew about this was Ned himself and the person that he was cheating with. Because of this, videos were made, documentaries like this were made, so many people out there were talking about Ned Fulmer, and to this day have been talking about Ned Fulmer. This pretty much was the ending point of his career. There really was no way back. No one was backing this guy, no one wanted to be a part of him, and since then I can confirm that pretty much everyone in the social media space, rightfully so, abandoned Ned Fulmer. And look, no one's saying the guy can't post on his YouTube channel. No one's saying he needs to be deplatformed. But what people are saying is they just feel like they've been lied to. They feel like it's weird that someone would build up such a persona that is not a reflection of who they actually are. And at the same time, people don't want to really contribute to somebody who is willing to ruin the life of his wife and his children and his best friends. So yeah, that was pretty much it for Ned Fulmer. But what surprised me is after this, the Try Guys were not done, as they uploaded a podcast, episode 181, titled Let's Talk About It. And in this podcast, they do what I said that I didn't think they were going to do. They go into detail. They let people know the nitty-gritty of this situation, where they were when these things were taking place, where they were when the rumors started to circulate, how it made them feel, and really what this did just represent is how betrayed these guys had been. And I think the fact that these guys who are a little bit corporate, they're a little bit PR heavy, they themselves were even making a podcast about this, I think that just shows to us the level of betrayal, the level of them having no idea whatsoever.
To be clear, however this went down, we would have taken the same action, but the fact that it was something that was caught by fans, that was, a transgression that was enacted publicly, added a level of complication to this where we knew there was this stick of dynamite with an uncertain fuse. We knew that at any moment this could and would come out. So again, no matter what, we would have taken the same action. Maybe we would have done it more privately. I'm not sure. But, in addition to having all the stressors of how do we do this right, it was the stressors of when is this going to break? It's coming. It's coming any moment. And so every day we are refreshing Twitter, certain key phrases and Reddit, and it was out there from the beginning. There were fans who were tweeting about it somewhat obscurely, and I think they did the right thing of they first alerted the significant others of those who were affected, and I think gave them that respect of, hey, I'm going to let you handle this first. But we knew it was coming. The photos and videos were out there. We had seen them.
Now, again, I feel like this highlights what I was speaking about earlier, of this not just being a little, guy cheats on his girlfriend thing and the only person affected is his girlfriend. Now, obviously, that would be bad, but it's clear that this was a whole different ballgame. This was somebody who had mentally affected a lot of people, put people's jobs on the line, man. The Try Guys continue to do what they're doing to this day, but there's always going to be a point of contention that Ned's actions absolutely affected the trajectory of the Try Guys. If he did not do what they did, then the Try Guys could have been arguably so much more successful. I'm not trying to take away from the success that they've had since this point of time, but I don't think anyone can really deny the fact that, while this absolutely stains the reputation of the channel, but also Ned was like a founding father of the channel. It's like if you had a boy band and the main member of the group left and they just tried to carry on. Yes, it could still be enjoyable, it could be even better, but it's never really going to feel the same. And Ned knew that and risked that, but also at the same time, he risked employees. For all we know, this company could have went under. They could have not actually continued and loads of people could have lost their jobs. Now, thankfully, as we can hear and as we've seen, this did not happen, but Ned risked this all to have an affair. But now after this, they start to go in to speak about where they were and how they felt during the moment of where these rumors started to circulate and the bombs of information started to come out about Ned with all of these leaked photos. And it's clear that it was mentally affecting them, because obviously it's not just a business thing, but this is a personal thing, man. They were basically family with the Fulmers. So to see what was going on, it just basically just flips your life upside down.
So we were in Palm Springs. We had gone down to do like a YouTube conference. So Zach and I were down there, and we just like extended our stay into the weekend. Our partners came down.
At this point, we had already removed Ned from the company officially.
That had already happened.
We were kind of meeting up with all these YouTubers, and again, they're like, "How are the guys?" And we're like,
"They're good,
good."
And that weekend,
I lied right to Matt Pat's face. I looked him in the eyes and I said nothing.
Everything's fine.
I looked at Hank Green. And
it
I
was
told him
mostly lies by omission. It wasn't like he's great. He just can't be here. But we stayed the weekend, and it was actually a really nice weekend. Chris Reinecker and Jared Popkin, and we were all just hanging out. It was really hot, so we were in the pool.
Before the storm.
And then on Sunday, we woke up and we sort of saw on Reddit that some more people were talking about it. We're like, okay,
it's happening.
Let's go see Don't Worry, Darling. And we did. And it was a movie. He was right. And then we at that night saw like, oh, there's more people talking on Reddit. Okay, well, we should be prepared. And we reached out to our PR people and our legal people like, hey, we think that it's whatever is about to happen in whatever expression is about to happen is going to happen this week. And
we had been planning at this point to release a statement late. We were trying to figure out what day is right. We were looking at the content that we had promised.
And we had made an announcement that we were going down to one video a week in October to gear up for November, December, which is not untrue, but it was also because we had some videos that we couldn't release. Yeah. And so and it is true. We were having to go down to that amount to gear up and save the videos we had and the videos that we could edit him out of and could reshoot or could do for November, December. And so we're down to one video a week. So we'd made some odd messaging, then people and we had edited Ned out of videos. So people didn't notice that at first, but then as things came out on Reddit, the internet started sleuthing. And let me tell you, I think that more detectives should be reaching out to teenagers.
Oh my God.
They're good at it. And they are good at doing side-by-sides and like finding like a single frame that has a sleeve in it.
Yeah, they honestly should, because I feel like there's no greater detective on the planet than the people on Reddit. If there's a piece of information that you require, just go over to Reddit and be like, hey guys, there's this thing, there's this influencer, go, and they will come back to you in about 5 minutes stat, and they will have screenshots, recordings, photos, evidence in a nice little Google Drive, and they will provide it to you. But yes, as I mentioned before, it was very clear how much this was really impacting the 3 guys left at the Try Guys. They had to pretty much lie to people's faces, their friends, their co-workers, about what was going on, and I can't imagine how horrible it felt to be them at this period of time, knowing that so many people's lives and jobs were at risk, but they could not do anything to say anything about it. And that mainly comes down to the fact, which again makes Ned Fulmer look even worse, they were worried about being sued by Ned for defamation.
Basically, look, anytime you say something publicly that puts someone else in a bad light, it is towing the line of defamation. Defamation is a suable offense. So you have to like really have things in line to legally be able to say some things. And even then, also, you're not just doing things out of fear of legal action. You're doing things out of fear of public backlash to other parties involved. So you're really trying, like, I don't want people who are hurt to become more hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want to do something wrong and get sued and further jeopardize the company and people's jobs. Because it's not even like, it's not just like Zach and Keith getting sued. It would be the company getting sued. And then the company doesn't have money. And then all the people who work here don't have money. And so it's like there's this big domino effect of making a mistake. So you really have to not make a mistake.
Something that was uniquely frustrating is that once we told the staff that Ned was stepping away, we made this announcement and that we were going to be editing him out of videos. They put the pieces together of what was happening. They're very intelligent. But we, from a legal perspective, were not allowed to tell them outright, hey, XYZ happened, here's what we're doing and why. Because once we say that to our company, to our staff, it is now public information that can be shared into the world. And also, we were not allowed to say that Ned was no longer working with us until we had officially concluded the review. So at that point, we said, Ned is stepping away for personal reasons. We're going to be editing him out of our content. And then there's all of these very direct questions.
Yeah.
And we just have to say, we cannot speak to that at this time.
Right.
Winky face, winky face. And, our staff, I think that Miles, you tell me. I think we made it very clear where we were and that we were not trying to sweep things under the rug, because that is, I think, what most people's minds will go to. But there were things that we couldn't say, and it was really frustrating.
Yeah, it was clear immediately what was going on, just because, obviously the internet was able to put it together in a matter of days.
Right.
We all had this information of something weird is happening at work. We're being asked to edit Ned out of videos. He's not appearing in certain things. So we're sort of putting that together just before everyone else did.
And before Reddit had fully put it together, there were breadcrumbs on the internet, and you guys found them all.
Oh my gosh, immediately. Yeah, because there was, again, this incident where the fans and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that was
stuff was put on the internet. And once stuff goes on the internet, even if you take it off the internet, someone else will put it back on the internet. That's just the internet.
Right.
So the fact that anything had ever been posted at any point meant it could be found again.
And this is as of Labor Day weekend. That stuff is out there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and I would say from somebody who works here, it was clear that something weird was going on, but we also were aware that you could not speak candidly to what that was because of all of this red tape. And you were working towards a place where you could then tell us exactly what was going on.
Yeah. Not fun.
Not fun. No. A crazy time to be at work.
Now, to me, one thing that really stands out here is how bad this makes Ned look. Because they're talking about their former best friend here, the person that they had built a company with, a channel with, a business with. They had built their livelihoods with this guy, and yet they're worried because this guy had done something terrible. If they tell the employees that all of them hire, he's going to sue them into silence. Now, obviously, I should say he did not do that, but I think this really does reflect who Ned was in their eyes at this point of time. Now, whether they thought bad of him beforehand, I don't know, but it seems that they were very shocked by all of this, and they were so shocked to the point of where they didn't know who this guy was, in my opinion, anymore. They were really worried that this guy was so bad that he may sue them into silence for even informing the employees about this situation. You'd think out of some level of repentance, Ned might say, oh, well, you can tell the employees about this. You can be upfront and honest with them. Because, Ned had been their boss for years at this period of time. They had established friendship. I mean, Ned had established a lot of friendship with certain people, but he had established friendships with a lot of his employees, And I feel like he could have at least done the due diligence of saying, hey, you can tell the employees. You can be honest with them about why I'm leaving. But no, they couldn't, and they were worried about being sued because of it. And the thing is during the midst of all of this chaos, Ned actually did put out a statement about all of this. Whereas on his Instagram, he made a post stating, family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship. Now, oh god, that's a disgusting way of saying these things, but this shows to us that Ned wasn't making a mistake here. Ned admits that he was having a relationship with someone in his workplace. This wasn't a little drunken kiss. This was premeditated, which makes it all even worse. But he also says, I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused to the guys and the fans, but most of all to Ariel. The only thing that matters right now is my marriage and my children, and that's where I'm going to focus my attention. But to me, it's clear that this guy isn't sorry about his actions, because if he was sorry, he would have allowed them to tell the employees about this situation. He would have been more honest with his employees. In fact, he would have told them himself why their jobs are now at risk. But no, he just put out this cowardly response where he claims to be sorry, but he absolutely is clearly not. And it's clear that even the Try Guys themselves at the time were not happy about this response, but for a reason that I haven't mentioned yet.
So first one, did you coordinate responses with Ned and his team?
No, we shared what our statement was going to be. We did not have insight into what his statement was. I also want to say that we did not coordinate fonts. I believe that he saw ours and copied it.
That is our opinion.
And it is an opinion that I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like, you got to choose the same font
that was
that made it look like we wrote your... Come on, man.
It's my opinion that was on purpose. that was to a optimized result for him. That's my opinion.
Now, this obviously is a bit of an interesting theory. I don't exactly know if it's true, but we're going to put the responses side by side now. And yes, they do kind of look similar. They're released at the same time on a white background with familiar looking fonts, but to be honest with you, I just feel like it's a regular font that most people use in statements like this. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if their theory was right. They know Ned better than me, but I think what this does mainly represent to us is that they had no trust in this guy at this point of time. They clearly saw that Ned was a bit of a supervillain like everyone else was seeing him, and it's clear that all forms of trust that they had with the guy had been completely shattered at this point, to where they're even doubting his font and background color. And overall, the situation was just getting nasty. This was getting to a point of where it was just kind of sad to see it play out like this. And I think the podcast is just a representation of that. I don't think anyone really wanted to see the Try Guys go out like this. I feel like people for years loved these guys and wanted nothing but the best for them. So for the Try Guys audience at the time, this was pretty much a nightmare scenario. I think at one point at the beginning of this story, people were praying that it was all just fake drama, and maybe it was even them just doing it for a video. But no, it was all real, and if anything, it was worse than we originally thought. And the situation even got so bad that SNL made a skit about the situation, which to this day has actually been now regarded as one of the worst SNL skits of all time. And to be honest with you, I find that quite hard to believe, considering every SNL skit sucks. But yeah, a lot of people weren't happy about this. You can tell that Ned's friends wrote this one, as one user wrote. Another person said, calling a long-year affair of a subordinate which results in a betrayal of your wife and children a consensual kiss is like calling a hit and run driving the speed limits. And yeah, that does kind of summarize people's anger at the time. People were just mainly mad at this skit because they saw it as a skit that was actually defending Ned, or at least minimalizing what Ned had done in this situation. But I think overall, it also just represents that this situation had just absolutely gotten out of control to the point of where it was featuring on SNL. Everyone was talking about this situation. I remember covering this in 2022, and the videos were exploding in views. Compared to my usual views, it was just like everyone seemingly wanted to hear about this story. And yeah, it all comes down to what I've been speaking about with the fact that Ned for years built up this persona of being this lovable wife guy who could do no wrong. He just loved his wife, he just loved his kids and everyone that he worked with, and he just wanted the best for them, which is laughable to say now. And with that, it does kind of bring us to the ending point of this chapter in 2022. Ned Fulmer's career was pretty much over. There was no coming back from this. Yes, he could upload videos, but as you're going to see later on in this video, that really would not achieve much, and if anything, would just create even more backlash for Ned. He had absolutely tarnished his reputation in the span of a few days. Of course, it was over actions of a year, but in the few days, the world woke up and saw what was going on, and they wanted nothing to do with it. Now, a lot of people out there did still have some questions though, mainly were Ned and Ariel going to stay together just for the benefit of their children? And some people were speculating that that might be the case because they were spotted at a Taylor Swift concert in 2023. And hey, I don't want to hear anyone talking about a new album. I don't care if you think it sucks or it's the next best thing since the Bible. I really don't care, okay? Please leave Taylor Swift out of my comment section. I don't want to hear about it. Please. But then after that, people saw contradictions to the previous post of where Ned was actually at Disneyland, and they noticed that he didn't have a ring on his finger. And some even claimed that they met up with Ned or just saw Ned, and he told them that he was not married anymore. And to be honest with you, I think it was more out of morbid curiosity of wanting to know if these two stayed together. I don't personally believe that Ariel Fulmer needed to come out and make a statement about their marriage. She had been through enough, and to be honest, I never really expected to hear anything else about this drama and about this horrible situation. It really did feel that these two went off into the sunset, well, not sunset, but I don't know, into the rain, of where they were just silent on social media for years and they did not say a thing, and that pretty much put this story to bed. Well, until Ned's grand return in 2025. Yes, as you probably all know at this point of time, Ned Fulmer returns to the internet in September of 2025. Directly 3 years after the story, Ned returned in a podcast format featuring him and his wife in a video titled A Conversation with Ariel Fulmer. And yes, this was weird. This is probably one of the weirdest things I think I've ever seen in my personal time on social media. So weird that I almost don't know how to give commentary on it because it's just so utterly bizarre, and it was clear that the internet holds familiar opinions, is that even the right phrase? Similar opinions with what I'm saying here. Ned Fulmer, the internet's most hated husband, returns. The Ned Fulmer cheating drama gets crazier. Used his wife to build his brand, cheated on her, now using his ex-wife to save his brand. We've had enough of you as a public figure. I can't really believe he's interviewing her about him traumatizing her. Yes, this whole thing was just a complete and utter dumpster fire. And that comment wasn't lying, by the way. This is an hour-long interview of Ned and Ariel sat down together, very awkwardly discussing everything that took place in the events that we just went through. And we are going to go through it. I am going to sit down and I am going to watch it in an unscripted format because genuinely I think I can't do it scripted because of how purely insane it is. But before we do that, we need to address the elephant in the room, and that is Ned Fulmer's rebrand and return to the internet. Because yes, this rebrand wasn't just a random podcast on a random channel. No, it was with a whole new brand called Rock Bottom with Ned Fulmer. Get it, guys? He's at rock bottom because he ruined his wife and his children's lives and his best friend's lives as well. And even the description of what this show is just makes me feel sick. It says, everyone makes mistakes. Some of us really big ones. Ned, you admitted in your response that you were in a consensual relationship with an employee. That isn't a mistake. That is a premeditated thing of where you were regularly meeting up every single day doing things that you should not have been doing as a committed married man. So no, excuse me if I don't take it as a little bit of a mistake, because it absolutely was not that. And by him simply stating that this is a mistake in his rebrand, it clearly shows us that this man has not changed whatsoever. This man arguably has gotten even worse, and that shows in the fact that he's trying to make a brand off the worst thing that he did in his life. The gaslighting is genuinely crazy, and it clearly is gaslighting, by the way, because remember that statement that I showed you earlier on Ned's Instagram? Well, this actually doesn't exist on his Instagram anymore. This was deleted, and instead we've got the new branding on the account. And I kind of suspect that's down to the fact that, well, in that post he admits that it wasn't a mistake pretty much. Well, he doesn't word for word say that, but he says they were in a relationship, which shows not a mistake, premeditated. You had time to think about it, and that means it's not a mistake. A mistake is, I don't know, I'm trying to think a mistake is that you just do something in the heat of the moment that you probably shouldn't have done. You know, that's a mistake. But no, you didn't do that, and the proof is in the Instagram post that he is now removed, which shows us that yes, he has not learned. The description goes on to state that Rock Bottom is a show that explores people's lowest, most embarrassing and challenging moments, featuring raw, unfiltered conversations with comedians, creators, authors and celebrities. We talk about how they not only survived it all, but transformed their lives. Now, I can't lie to you, this concept is actually quite interesting. To see somebody that was embroiled in a ton of controversy come back and actually rebuild their career, that's really interesting. But the difference is the people that he's interviewing, they did that. They didn't abandon their social media and run away for 3 years. They built their careers back and they came back from it. But Ned, you haven't done that. You ran away from social media in complete silence for 3 years, and now you're just trying to use you cheating on your wife as a way to springboard a new brand. It's like, saying that out loud is insane. Like, think about that for a second, people. He cheated on his wife and said, I'm gonna start a podcast about that. That's what I mean, people say we're in late stage capitalism. I mean, we're the ending, baby. We're in the ending of capitalism, because what am I looking at? This is so hilarious. But he finishes it off by stating, hosted by Ned Fulmer, the ex BuzzFeed Try Guys creator, whose own Rock Bottom ranked number 6 of Time's most viral moments of 2022. Brother is flexing on us that he cheated on his wife. Do you not see how? I know you. I don't know why I'm shouting at you. I'm sorry. That's how you say sorry, Ned. I'm sorry, guys, for shouting at you. You know how crazy this is. He is flexing on the world that he cheated on his wife, and he is using that to make the spring even springier for his new I Cheated on My Wife podcast. We live in a weird world. And to me, all of this really indicates that this guy has not changed, and he's just been desperate to come back to social media for years now, and it seems he has finally convinced Ariel Fulmer to get back on camera with him and clearly try and pave a way for him to come back. And the one scene that I can kind of compare this to is the walk of shame that Cersei does in Game of Thrones, where she knows that she's messed up and she knows the only way she can come back from this is just to have everyone throw tomatoes and poo at her and shout shame. Because that's pretty much what this entire podcast is. It's pretty much an hour-long internet walk of shame where this guy is clearly hoping if he makes himself look as worse as possible, maybe people will see it as him being real and maybe they'll take him back. But no, it did not work that way. Because one comment in particular states, just to be clear, I'm only watching this to see what Ariel has to say. I will not be watching/consuming anything else Ned puts out. And hey, it's clear that they weren't lying, but also it's clear that the internet shared a pretty similar sentiment. Because, you know, the first episode did amazingly. It got 1 million views in a day on a brand new channel. Which is amazing, you know? Ned probably was thinking to himself, yes, this has worked. I'm back, baby. Those internet bucks are coming into the bank accounts. 45,000 views on episode 2. Oh, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe the algorithm wasn't working that day. 15,000 views on episode 3. Oh, well, maybe internet less than 5,000 views on episode 4. Yes, not only was his return and interview with Ariel Fulmer an absolute disaster, which tons of YouTubers have covered, absolutely rinsing it for just being this weird, awkward mess, but on top of that, the entire rebrand, return, new project and podcast has failed absolutely terribly. No one is watching this thing, and it overall is so embarrassing to see that he really thought he could come back to social media like nothing had happened. He put out his walk of shame and try and continue, and maybe people would consume it, but no. Everyone is laughing, and in all of these comment sections, it's mainly just people stating that they can't believe he's even trying. And look, I'm not saying that Ned can't make content on the internet, but I just think that after 3 years of silence, it's just a weird choice to make a podcast about your all-time lows and coming back from it when you haven't said anything up until a day ago or a week ago, and it really just feels off. It just feels like you're just trying to capitalize on you cheating on your wife. I honestly feel like if he was just making, you know, normal videos like the Try Guys make, I'd actually think that's perfectly normal, and maybe I could understand why he'd get an audience from that. But this is just weird, and it's clear that the rest of the world thinks so too. But it's not just that. The interview with Ariel herself just indicated that this guy, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinions, had clearly not changed. So what I want to now do is go through this interview in a bit of a live reaction, which I don't really do on this channel, but it's mainly down to the fact that, well, it's long and just so weird that I feel like it's more appropriate to go through this in a live format. And if you don't want to watch me going through the entire thing, I understand. You can click to this timestamp here when we get into the next section surrounding how bad and terribly his return has gone down. But with that, yes, let's get into this return video. Okay, we're in a completely different setting. If you follow my second channel, you will know this setting pretty well. I'm in front of my computer. We're ready to give a reaction to, yes, a conversation with Ariel Fulmer. Now, I briefly covered this on my second channel recently, but as I said, I want to go through the entire thing because this whole video is just genuinely insane, and you don't need to look further than the comment section to see that. So yeah, so to start off, he's speaking to the camera individually. Before he goes into his podcast, he wants to basically give his first message to the world. He's been gone for 2 years, and this is how he's firstly going to respond to everything. Before jumping into the podcast with his wife, he needs to let the world know he's changed, he's learned, and he's better. So let's hear what Ned Fulmer has to say.
I'm Ned Fulmer.
We know.
3 years ago, I cheated on my wife with my producer.
I mean, at least he's not saying it's a mistake. At least he is just straight out admitting to it from the very get-go. Now, another thing I pointed out on my second channel video is I don't know if this was like a coordinated thing, but the amount of whiteness in this, not talking about the skin, I'm talking about everything, the white background, the white polo, the white microwave. It's all so very bright and light, and it's kind of given cult vibes to me. I don't know if he's done this like deliberate to be like, this is a shining new start and I'm a new man. I don't know if I'm deep in it there, but we're 7 seconds in, and let's continue.
It became a massive public scandal that caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. I know that I represented myself as a kind of wife guy.
Do you think he's been spending like 3 years just having acting lessons? Because honestly, he needs to continue them. They're not working out for him.
Who talked about his relationship and put that out there for public consumption. And you, as a viewer, I know that I broke your trust. I betrayed my spouse, co-workers, friends, family, and I betrayed you.
I mean, it's a fair point. This is exactly what he did. I mean, I'm glad that he's admitting to it, fair enough. Let's continue.
And I know it's not just about cheating, that I was a company owner and having a relationship with a producer, was engaged and friends with all of our friends and co-workers.
Yeah, I completely forgot that the woman was also engaged. So it makes it even worse, to be honest with you. I completely forgot this information. And that also the person that he was cheating with was engaged to be married. And he's also just confirmed to us there that this wasn't just a drunken mistake. It was a relationship. It was premeditated. And it went on for clearly quite a while. So, yeah, it's even worse than we possibly thought.
It was understandably a messy and devastating situation for everyone involved.
Devastating for everyone involved other than yourself, and the only reason you're devastated is because you were caught.
And I was the cause of it.
Yes.
I did that. And I can't change it. I can't change the past. I can own it and accept it and try to change how I show up differently in the future.
So that's why I'm making a brand new podcast, guys. Please subscribe, because I'm here to talk about why I suck. It is a bit weird, isn't it? Like, if this was his first ever response, I'd be completely like, actually, you know what? You're making some good points. You're owning up to things. Fair enough. I can respect that. But the only reason he's doing this is to sell me this new product. Like, he could have done this 3 years ago, but he decided to wait when he decided to make a new podcast, a new brand, to come back to the internet to make money. The only time he ever decided to respond and apologize with his face to the camera was when he wanted to start making money with a new brand. So excuse me if I don't really find this very authentic. It seems very illegitimate, and it seems, oh, now I'm going to admit to these things 3 years later to a camera and post it on the internet because I actually want to start a new business. It just seems a little bit weird knowing that there's going to be an hour podcast after this.
I wanted to say that I'm sorry. I hurt you. And I hope to make amends over time.
This is so weird to see.
One step is to publicly witness the pain of my partner, Ariel. This is a conversation with Ariel.
So he's basically saying here, the way that I know that I need to come back is to have my walk of shame, my humiliation moment of coming onto camera with my wife so I can have the blessings of the internet to make a new brand. That's all this is. He's basically saying that. He's like, I know that I need to do a walk of shame before I start making a new brand. And again, that kind of is why I find this so illegitimate, why I don't believe he's changed really, because if he had changed, he would have done this years ago, where he would have got on camera and said sorry, and then maybe down the line he could start this brand. But it's all coming at once, and it all just feels so fake. It feels so Hollywood and just scripted.
This video, it's painful at times.
And also, he knows that. He knows what I'm saying here, because if he didn't think that, he wouldn't be doing this 4-minute clip before he goes into this podcast. He knows that it is weird to come back after 3 years of a brand new rebrand, a brand new podcast, and this is my new thing, guys. Please subscribe. He knows it's weird to do that, so he has to kind of give it a bit of a caveat, to be a bit of like a, oh yeah, I am sorry, and here's my new brand. It feels very fake.
It's honest, vulnerable, brutal, but it's necessary for her to move forward, and I'm grateful for the chance to witness it. As disappointed as we were that something so private and painful became such a public spectacle.
I mean, why were you disappointed? Obviously, it was going to become a public spectacle. And you say it was private, but we've, in this video, gone through the fact that you were out in public, just getting it on with your employee. Like, this is your fault that it's public, because you were literally doing it in public. Like, what did you expect? You weren't trying to keep this coy. You weren't trying to hide it. You were out in nightclubs, getting off. You were going on public dates with each other. Like, what did you expect was going to happen? Of course it was going to go public, and that's because of your own actions. So I don't want to hear this, I was disappointed. I can understand why Ariel Fulmer was disappointed. I can understand why the Try Guys were disappointed, because, you know, yeah, it is a disappointing situation, but you have no right to be disappointed in this situation. You literally played this out in public, so I don't know what you were expecting. You're a multi-millionaire with millions of subscribers. Of course somebody was going to notice you cheating on your wife, when that's literally your brand, that you are a wife guy.
I get why people were so outraged, and I understand that that is the reason that she can't move forward with any sort of public thing without addressing this. So this is that. This is a conversation where we answer your questions. We share what we've been up to these last 3 years and what you can expect from us moving forward. It's about an hour long, and I know that from my perspective, I want to tell stories of curiosity and empathy, and I want them to be meaningful and have value in people's lives. So I hope that you find this impactful. So please join me for...
It's also fake, isn't it? It's all such bollocks. He wants to create meaningful stories. What? The meaningful story that you were getting off with somebody else whilst you were married and had 2 children. It's so meaningful, Ned, isn't it? It's so, the only reason you're doing this, you've literally said it in this 4-minute clip, is that this is your walk of shame, pretty much. Don't lie to us, Chief.
This conversation with Ariel Fulmer.
Well, here we are.
Oh, it's so awkward immediately. I've already watched these first 20 minutes, but it is awkward. Like, just look at how she's looking at him, man. And look how he's looking at her. He knows this is wrong. He knows this should not be going on, but I mean, they're going through with it, and we've got the same microphone. I don't know if that's a bad omen, but let's can go into it, baby.
Back
again.
again. It feels weird. Feels a little awkward.
It is.
Yeah. Back in a podcasting room.
Yeah.
I mean, we've certainly had a lot of conversations where we've sat like this.
Yeah, that's true.
But not, conversations that are meant for the public.
Mm-hmm.
Even she's thinking this is just weird, and I think she knows what he's trying to do. Like, she's obviously, this is a good opportunity for her to get her opinion out there, and he knows that this is going to be a roast session pretty much for him. He knows the internet's going to be laughing at him, but this is also his way back to the internet in his eyes. He can only come back through this route of publicly humiliating himself. So she knows it's weird, but she's going to take the opportunity because obviously she wants the people to know the truth, and I can completely understand that, and I feel nothing but bad for her, and he's just basically walking into the fire.
Is it strange to think that people are watching this and listening to it rather than just being in like a therapy setting?
Oh, heck yeah. It's
sad. It's so sad. You hear the pain in her voice, man. You can genuinely hear the pain in her voice. And by the way, I know people are going to get irritated at me keep on pausing it. This is for the video. I'm giving my analysis. You can watch it by yourself if you wish to, but I'm going to be pausing it a lot during this because it is a very weird podcast. Hence, we're reacting.
I mean, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm on the verge of like standing up and walking out of this room. Absolutely.
Same.
You're not though, are you? Who are you lying to here, bro? We know why you're here. We know you're ready to brand out and make something new that you want to make money off. Don't lie to us. Don't put yourself in the same shoes as your ex-wife. Don't do that. We know why you're here. It's to make money. Don't lie to us.
I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? But no, I feel like this is a necessary thing.
Yeah, we've kind of been just keeping our lives very private for the last 3 years.
We have.
Just almost hiding from the world.
We've been hiding.
You've definitely been hiding, Ned. Ned, you've been hiding for about 5 years, buddy, let alone the last 3 years.
We've been hiding from the world. And I'm not going to lie, it's been kind of great.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of great to be super private.
And it's ironic because we don't stop becoming recognizable figures. People still come up to us. People still recognize us.
And they go up to you and say, hey, aren't you the guy that cheated on her? Aren't you that guy who like often cheated on your wife and you were known as the wife guy? Is that what people do, Ned? I'm sure it is.
And to the extent that we're kind of moving forward in our lives, that's something that you've talked about. It's like, how can I move forward in my life without people knowing the next part of my story if they're still stuck on the 2022 part of my story?
That's kind of the thing, isn't it?
So effectively, he's basically said, yeah, I've ruined your life to a point of where you've not been able to live a normal life for 3 years. That's how bad this really got. That's why I get frustrated when people say, oh, it was just a influencer cheating on influencer. It really wasn't that. You can see how much this has personally affected her and also everyone else involved in the situation other than Ned. I think obviously this is a far bigger deal than a lot of people really think it is, and I truly feel bad for Ariel Fulmer, man. I really do.
And that's the whole reason that we're here. Because
exactly. She can't move on with her life without doing this. Do you understand how insane that is?
We're stuck in 2022.
Yeah, at least as far as they know.
Exactly. we have moved on with our lives.
Yeah, we've moved on for a while.
We
now.
have moved on with our lives, but
they can't publicly come out.
But
not come out as in they're gay, but as in they can't publicly come out as in go outside and make videos and post on their Instagram. They can't do that. They can't move on with their professional lives, pretty much.
But like, as far as everybody else is concerned, we're still stuck in 2022.
Yeah.
And, you know, that brings us to the whole reason that we're here and the reason that we can't walk out of this room, because we live in a social world, right? And we can't move on with our lives if we don't, you know, move on.
Do the walk of shame
publicly.
Like publicly reestablish the context of who we are, how we relate to each other after being so public with our relationship before.
I mean, he's basically saying there, yeah, I want to recontextualize how people think about me because people think that I'm a terrible person for cheating on my wife that I've had 2 children with and ruining my business with my 3 best friends. That's basically what he's saying here. And no, we're not here for that. We're here to watch you grovel whore and apologize to your wife on camera. That's basically it. Now, I want to hear what Ariel Fulmer's been up to. I want to know what she's been doing for the last 3 years, but I don't really care about Ned in this situation in the terms of I'm really worried about what Ned's been doing for the last 3 years. I'm not. I think what he's been doing is clearly planning a social media comeback where he can start to make the big bucks via the YouTube monetization and advertisements.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a really strange thing, actually, like that we can't do anything publicly without kind of addressing this first.
Well, yes, you were a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers who got caught in a cheating scandal and you ran away from the internet for 3 years. It's not really a strange thing, in my opinion, that people have kept that thing as the last thing they knew you as that was really the last thing you did publicly. You ran away from the internet. If you carried on posting for 3 years, I actually feel like this would have been dead and buried and people would have moved on. But the fact is, you ran away like a coward and you never got on camera and addressed it until now.
Well, yeah. I mean, in 2022, it got so big, right? The whole scandal, it grew and grew and grew and grew, to the point where it just became this thing that just like got so much bigger than us.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just sort of hid away from it, you know?
I mean, I really do feel bad for her. There was no thing she could have done to make the situation bearable. Her entire life was flipped upside down. And for her, I don't say that she ran away. She just did what she thought was probably best for her and her children. It's an impossible situation to deal with. I should say that all my criticism here is obviously directed towards Ned. I think he's a complete coward, and he has clearly done a lot of damage. He's done so much damage.
Same.
And going completely dark was the only thing that I could think to do. And for the last 3 years, I've just hidden behind the scandal, you know? And now, like, now I can't get out from behind it.
Yeah, because it's a big step to like sit down and do what we're doing and to talk about it.
Right. But even like going out in public with...
See there, he's trying to be like, oh, because we've got you can't move on because we've got to finally address it. That's on your mind, right? And she's about to basically say no, she can't go out in public. Like, she can't go out in public without people either bringing this up or going into it. And it's like, Ned is very much trying to minimalize things here, in my opinion. He's trying to make it seem a little less worse than it actually is. And I think in this, she is basically going to combat against that. Not like directly arguing with him and fighting with him, but it's very clear that she has one thought and he has a very different thought. Maybe not a different thought, but he wants to recontextualize Ariel's thoughts.
With like my kids or just going out to dinner or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the only thing that people see is the scandal.
Yeah. It's a big loss.
it's a big loss, but it's all...
Oh God, his acting skills suck, man. I don't know if I'm just over deep in it, but it just comes off very fake from Ned, in my opinion. Like, he said one thing, she basically combated it and said the actual other of like, no, this isn't just about addressing it. It's also the fact that this is affecting my life. I can't go out with my kids. I can't go out with my family. And he's like, oh, yeah, that is a lot, isn't it? It's like, what a poor response.
Also, it's a really strange way to go about your normal life. You know, like, I am a human who has needs. Like, I want to have regular friends, and I don't want to like walk up to somebody that I want to be friends with at like preschool and have to start every conversation with like, my personal life is a dumpster fire, as I'm sure you know, but also, do you want...
Why are you laughing, man? Like, why are you actually laughing? Your ex-wife is saying to you, hey, Ned, you ruined my life. I can't go out in public with my kids. I can't go to restaurants and have a meal. I can't try and befriend people because of you. And he's like, that's so funny. And it's just insane to me that he's even got the gall to just sit there, smile and laugh. I understand it's probably awkward and anxious laughter, but either way, just keep it in, man. It's just embarrassing to hear him laugh at this. Like, this is really sad stuff that's being said here, and he's just giggling.
Be friends with me? You know, like, I'm not gonna lie, I have some really authentic friendships that have started that way. But
why is he laughing? Like, you're the reason that this has all happened. It almost feels like he's come into this being like, oh, guys, we're all in this together. It's like, no, you are the reason that it's like this. What are you doing?
Like, I don't want to go about my life starting friendships like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of want the new friends to know the context of like who you currently are as a person.
Exactly.
I remember I have met some people, like made new friends or kind of introduced myself to strangers. And it's like, oh, let's...
I don't care, buddy. I don't care.
Like, exchange Instagrams. I'm like, well...
Right?
Well, you're going to see the fact that I cheated on my wife. we've got 2 kids, and maybe that's going to completely change your opinion on me, but yeah.
It's mine, but couple of caveats. 1, I have a lot more followers than you might expect. 2, all of this is pretty outdated. And 3,
it's not outdated. It's not outdated. It happened. Outdated is you buy some food and it goes moldy because it's been in the fridge for too long. What's not outdated is the fact that your history is you being the wife guy cheater who ruined his whole marriage and flipped his wife's life upside down, and it still hasn't really got back to normal since. And you also potentially ruined the lives of many other people who you worked with. So no, it's not just outdated information.
don't Google me.
Don't Google me.
Don't Google me.
You
Just
probably don't want to
Get
Google
to know
me.
me first.
I wouldn't want to get to know you because you'd probably try and smooch one of my friends.
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
you don't want to be just sort of seen as the sum of your mistakes. For me,
Not a mistake. We've done this already in this video. This is something that he loves to do, and he's trying to say it to his wife. Like, notice at the beginning of the video, he was like, oh, I've learned from all these bad things that I've done. And now it's, oh, it was a mistake. It's clearly watched it back, and he was like, got to quickly try and change things to make people less mad at me. But no, you've directly said to your wife's face that you still think this is a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was premeditated. You had a relationship with somebody who was engaged, and you did that for like a year. So no, it isn't a mistake. That's not what a mistake is.
or the sum of your past for you.
Right.
And the challenging thing is it's been complicated for a while. I mean, we are still friends. We have children together. We go on trips together.
Right.
Like, there's a spectrum of being together, not together.
Right.
Like there's ways in which we're together, but it's like the way that everyone.
And this is basically where he's going to confirm that what we've been wondering and what I spoke about previously, they're not together anymore. They're not in a marriage anymore. They are basically co-parenting, but that's pretty much it.
wants to know, like, are you guys still like an item? Are you guys still a couple? Like, no. We really haven't been at all.
Oh, it's so awkward, man. It is so painful to listen to. But yeah, there's the confirmation. They're not together anymore.
This last 3 years.
No, we haven't.
Like, there's moments when we kind of tried, but just because you.
I think he does realize how much he's messed up. I do. I don't know if he truly has like come to gripes with how much of a, terrible person he's been, but he clearly regrets it in the sense of he regrets that he was caught and now he can't have that relationship that he used to have with his wife whilst also having a relationship with another individual. He clearly realizes that he's lost everything and that is hurting him, and that's what this led to pretty much. He wants to stop losing, he wants to stop having that pain, and he feels that this is his only real solution to getting out of that, to publicly humiliate himself on social media. Whether that's going to work or not, I don't really think it will, but it's clear that he is showing regret, but more regret for being caught, in my opinion.
You go to a Taylor Swift concert together, it doesn't mean that you're, that
Doesn't mean
all
that
is
you're
forgiven
together.
and you're.
No, like.
I mean, it depends, to be fair. Was it her latest album, or was she performing some of the earlier albums? Because if it was the latest album, I feel like if some people, took their partner to see that album get performed, they might look. I'm not getting into Taylor Swift controversy here. I'm gonna leave that joke open ended. You can tell if I love it, or you can tell if I hate it. Personally, I've actually not listened to the album. I've just seen the reaction on social media.
Ask me, like, do you forgive Ned for what he did? And I mean, the answer is no, absolutely not. How can you forgive somebody for, like,
cut to the face,
for lying to you, for cheating on you? No. Like,
he's nodding away like, yeah, I agree with you. It's like, bro, you look so embarrassing right now. And I have nothing but respect for her getting on camera and owning this. She's getting on camera and she's stating, no, I'm not going to forgive you. I don't care about any of the stuff you've done for me over the last 3 years. I don't care about any of that. this is impossible to forgive, and they are not together anymore. Even if they've tried things to rekindle stuff, it's not worked, because she realizes, no, this guy did something terrible, and that cannot be forgiven. And I respect that completely.
I don't even... Sorry, I saw red for a minute. It's like, no, the answer is no.
It's clear, like, she saw red, man. She's angry about this 3 years later. That's how badly this has impacted her. So to have... the idea that this podcast even exists is so bizarre, but I am glad that she's at least got the opportunity to speak her piece, speak her mind, you know? Because it's been 3 years of silence, and Ned's tried to make this about him, but no, it's all about Ariel Fulmer.
But also, I feel like forgiveness isn't the goal at this point. You know, we've been together for a long time, and you are the father of my 2 beautiful children, and we know each other really well, and I you know, we've worked through a lot of stuff, and the fact that I can be around you and still, like, have a good time and, like, enjoy spending time with you and enjoy spending time with my kids, like, I think that's a win.
And that's the unfortunate thing here, and it makes the whole cheating situation even worse, because do I think that they would have continued this type of friendship if they didn't have 2 children together? No, I honestly don't. I think she would have moved away from him. I think she would block him and never speak to him ever again. But unfortunately, they're permanently bonded for the rest of their life over 2 children that they brought into this world. And I think that's what makes this whole cheating thing unbelievably worse, that they have basically not just got this life commitment of marriage. I know you can get divorced and stuff, but, you know, it's technically meant to be a commitment for life, but they've also brought in real life commitments of 2 real humans, kids, children into this world, you know? And he still knew all of these, like, agreements, all of these connections forever, and he violated that by cheating with someone. It's just so unbelievably sad, because she can never properly move on. She can't just block him and move on for the rest of her life and find someone new. He's always going to be there because they've had children together. It's a permanent attachment, and I've got nothing but respect for Ariel for putting her anger away, because it's clear she is still angry. She literally said she saw red. Put that all aside so they can pretty much just benefit the children. That's kind of what I see. She's unfortunately had to accept that this man's going to be in her life forever, even if he is terrible, and she's going to adapt to that for the benefit of their children. That's what I see here, and I have nothing but respect for it.
Yeah. It's taken a lot of hard work to do that.
Yeah.
Hard work for her, not for you, buddy. Hard work for her.
It's kind of, as we've adjusted, we've recalibrated our relationship more towards a platonic friendship, and then, you know, it's just been challenging. But, like, I think we're getting to a point of sort of celebrating that and really, like, embracing it and accepting it for what it is, as we're, like, grieving the past. And, you know, it's hard to hear you saying, like, no, I don't forgive you. But of course I get it. I mean,
it's hard to hear, he says. Why is it hard to hear? What were you expecting? And again, it's clear, just off that wording alone, this guy doesn't really care about what he's done. He's just more upset that he's been called out. He's upset that he hasn't been forgiven. And it almost feels just kind of sickening that he's made this podcast as a way to, in my opinion, put pressure on him to publicly forgive him. I think he didn't expect her to say that on camera. I genuinely think that he thought that maybe being on camera in the public eye, maybe she'd be nicer, but no, she's giving her truth. And I absolutely think that's the right thing to do here. And look at the man's face. He clearly didn't think it was going to go this way.
You're still, as much progress as we've had, you're still very angry.
Yeah, of course I mean.
There's a difference between making progress and losing your anger at someone for what they've done. You can make all the progress in the world, but by you even bringing up the anger there and almost making it into that not being a part of the progress in sense of we've not progressed to the point of where you're no longer angry at me. These are two separate things. You can make progress with someone. You can rekindle a friendship with someone and become friends again, but you can definitely still hold resentment and anger for some horrible thing that may have done to you in the past. I don't understand it might be controversial, but I firmly believe you don't need to forgive someone for something that they've done if it's really bad. Like, if you're in a friendship with someone and you want to keep on going with that friendship, but they've wronged you in some way, I don't believe that you need to outright forgive them. Sure, you can accept them back into your life and they can know that, but I don't think that means you necessarily need to accept their apologies. You can say, no, I don't forgive you, but we're going to remain friends, and that's that. You can learn from the past, but I'm never going to forgive you for this thing. And I think the same can be applied here, but it's clear that he doesn't see it that way. He sees forgiveness as a part of the progression, which in my opinion is not the case here. The only reason we're on this path of progression, well, you're on this path of progression, is because you have children together. This path of progression wouldn't exist if that wasn't there. You would not be speaking to each other. You would not be in this friendly platonic friendship you speak of if you didn't have children. So the path of progression is to just benefit your kids and to make it easier for Ariel Fulmer, in my opinion. There's no forgiveness in that path. There doesn't need to be. That's all down to Ariel Fulmer, and it's clear she hasn't.
I agree. You know, we're talking about like not having sat in this position for 3 years, you know, and like, yeah, of course I'm still angry. We lost a lot. There was a lot that happened 3 years ago.
It's so awkward.
I mean, I found out about your affair from
a fan?
The fans. I mean,
so this also shows that everything we went through at the beginning of this video was basically all true. The reason she knew about any of this was because the fans put the pieces together because of Ned's outings in public with this woman. So for him to complain about things being in the public eye and not being able to move on, it's like, buddy, you were the one that made this public. You did what you did in public, and now your wife, your children, your family are having to deal with the repercussions of your own actions. So I find it hilarious that he's even complained to this podcast.
And I was so blindsided that somebody sent me a picture, and I couldn't. It was like my brain couldn't compute, and it's like, for some reason, I didn't see what was actually there in the picture. I thought it was your sister. And I remember sending it to you and being like, what's your sister doing in New York?
That's how horrible this really is. She was so in love with this guy. She had a family with him, a life with him that they'd established, to the point of where, when there's direct proof in her face, she was just outright denying it. You know, she was outright being like, that can't be true. It's such a horrible thing that surely it can't be true. And she come to the opinion that it was his sister. I mean, it's laughably awful. It's just absolutely horrible to hear.
It was, and I think back on that and I think, like, what was like, how did I not see what was going on? Like, what was so fucked up in my brain that I couldn't actually see what was happening in this picture. Like, the picture was right there in front of me. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then the pieces just started falling and falling and falling, and like, and then more pictures started coming in, and more pictures and more pictures and more pictures. And it is so wild how we live in this world where everything is so public.
Again, I'm not trying to be a dick when I say this, but Ariel, he literally made it public by going into public places. Like, this man went into clubs. He went into nightclubs and started cheating. Like, this is how much this guy didn't care. He was really willing to risk it all by going into public places in New York City and act in the way that he did. And there's multiple reports of him doing this in other places too. So I'm not shocked that it was also public because of who this man is and what he did.
Like, you don't realize it, but everybody's taking pictures of you.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go. And it's kind of scary, actually. And
he's nodding, but yeah, Ned, we know why it's scary for you, buddy.
And it makes you realize that whenever you leave your house, you're like, you're not safe. You know? I
mean, that's how horrible this is, man. I mean, obviously there's the point there of, in general, you're not safe as an influencer if you're that big in size that these guys are. To go outside constantly and not expect to be photographed, it is a thing they have to deal with. But it's clear how much this has mentally affected her, this situation, in terms of it being so public because of Ned's actions. It's like she doesn't feel safe anymore. And that's just like so horrible to hear, and again comes into what I was speaking about earlier of this not just being a case of influencer cheats on influencer. It's so much bigger than that. This has affected so many people, and it makes this whole rebrand of coming back with a podcast just seem even more unbelievable.
And it kind of like, and then after everything happened, I sort of went into this like this weird state where like nothing was safe, and nothing and nobody, like I couldn't trust anybody. I couldn't trust the public. I couldn't trust you. I couldn't trust my friends. I just stayed inside, like, because there were cameras everywhere. You know, it was like,
her life was absolutely destroyed because of this.
It was so unsafe. Everything was unsafe.
I don't know about you guys, but if I did what Ned did, and my whole plan was I'm going to get on camera with my ex-wife and we're going to humiliate myself by letting everyone know the truth about what happened. If they said this to me on camera, I would not release this. Like this just makes Ned look unbelievably worse, and I really don't know what he was thinking in giving us this video. Like, obviously it is the truth, but it's like, at this point, man, you've spent 3 years in silence, and you thought the best idea was to come back with a podcast which makes this whole thing even worse. We see the true mental aspect of how much this affected your wife, and it is to the point of where she couldn't leave her own home because she couldn't trust anyone, even her friends and family, because of your own actions. And you thought that this was going to go down well with the audience? You thought that this was going to make us subscribe to your new podcast? It's pure insanity.
Yeah, it took a long time to like get back to myself.
How did having it become such a public scandal kind of change everything for you? Did it make it worse? Did it make it easier? Did it just sort of make it surreal?
It was so many different things. And it was all tied in together too. You know, I think that, and it all, it's like the trauma of discovering that you've been, that like everything that you know isn't real. And then
I mean, how can you trust someone again? Imagine having children with someone. That's like a point of bonding, which there's no other form of bonding in the world that close, is there? It's the ultimate form of bonding. You've literally had a child together. You've brought in another human being into this world. There can't be another form of closeness, and yet he still violated that. And it's like, how could you ever trust anyone again after that? Even your best friend of 20 years, you would look at them and think, maybe they've got the potential to do something this horrible to me, because if my own husband that I've got kids with could do that to me, then what could anyone else who isn't even that close to me do? It's such a violating feeling, I imagine. And I mean, the more you hear in this podcast, the more you just gotta like give props to Ariel for being so brave and coming onto this podcast. It's such a horrible thing to hear. And I've watched the first 20 or 25 minutes before, but we're now getting into territory where I haven't heard the things, and it's gonna get worse from here, I imagine.
To it, this other part where you're sort of being you're being watched by cameras, which isn't something that's like a part of our lives. Like, yes, we are somewhat public figures, but like we've never had cameras waiting outside of our house. Like that's not something that we're used to. Like we're not like celebrities. That's not that's not a part of our lives. And this was a period in our lives where we had like there was like a car following us, and
Jesus.
It was really strange because I think
this was another thing that I pointed out back in the day of when this whole thing was kicking off in 2022, that some of the media companies that I'm not going to name are just like absolute rats. I think it's fine to make your videos like I'm making now, or to make your article puff pieces about any of this stuff, but to follow people around in public with cameras, invading their personal and private spaces in the way some people did, is just absolutely insane. And I think you're just as bad as Ned Fulmer. This woman has clearly mentally struggled for the last 3 years, and I think getting into her space every minute of the day with cameras and microphones is utterly despicable. And another thing that I haven't really pointed out so far that was really irritating me when writing my script and doing my research into this whole thing was I noticed in a lot of the articles it was Ned Fulmer cheats on his wife. In every single title it was always his wife and never Ariel Fulmer. It was always just his wife. And I understand she was his wife, but it just felt very gross that in every single news headline it said Ned's name, but it never said, well, not everyone, but in a lot of them it never said her name. And it just really feels that Ariel Fulmer has got such a bad rap in this situation, and I feel so bad for her because this all comes from her husband's actions, yet the media were following her around and trying to get interviews of her constantly. It's like, I don't want them to follow any of them around, even Ned. Like, I think this form of journalism is gross when it comes to just internet people and YouTubers. I don't think that's what you should be doing. Maybe do it with politicians and follow them around. That's different. But with YouTubers, it's a case of leave them alone, man. People can have their opinions. You can write your own articles. Don't harass them in public. That's just gross.
Had just, found out that we were, dealing with this, with this cheating situation, with this betrayal, we decided to find a new couples therapist, right?
Right.
And so we were driving to our new couples therapist, and so we were in the car together because we decided to drive together, and you decided you needed a snack, and so you had a Tupperware with you, and I had my jug of water, and we got in the car together because we were like, well, why don't we drive together? We're going to the same place. And so we get in the car and we were driving there, and so you're like eating your apple as you're driving, and I turned to you and I was like, Ned, I think there's a car following us. Like, I'm pretty sure this car has followed us from our house. you're like, oh, that's weird. Like, I wonder what that could be, you know?
I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but
and
like, what does he think it's going to be? Obviously, it's going to be the media following them to try and get photos and images for their articles. I mean, again, not a justification. I think it's disgusting behavior, but if anyone here should be like aware of this, it should be Ned Fulmer. He should be taking responsibility here, not pretending that he doesn't know why they're there.
And when we park outside of the couples therapist's office, and we see that this car has a camera, I was like, I think that person just took a picture of us. And so we went inside and we talked about it a little bit, and then we had our therapy session, and then we came out, and then there were multiple people outside, and it was probably one of the strangest situations.
I don't understand how that's illegal in America, by the way. I do not get how these news companies can follow people around, get in their private space like they're doing here, and take photos and are allowed to publish it in their articles. I don't understand how that is legal. Surely there are some legal ramifications there. But again, look at his smug face, man. This is all your fault. None of this would have happened if you actually were a good husband and a good father and a good friend.
I personally have ever been in. I did not know what to do with my face. And so my reaction when I don't know what to do with my face is I smile.
Yeah.
That is my go-to reaction when I don't know what to do with my face.
Notice how she's been smiling throughout all of this. Like, I'm not even like trying to be mean here, but she has been basically smiling. She's smiling right now, pretty much. Like, it's very clear that is being applied here too.
I just smile like an idiot.
That was my reaction too.
I smile like
Ned, I didn't need to know that is your reaction too. Don't even bother, buddy.
like like a cat. I just smile. And so
this is the video that everyone saw.
This is the video that everyone saw. And
like leaving couples therapy.
We're leaving couples therapy, looking at each other like we don't have a care in the world. And it is because we are absolutely just beyond like this is so bizarre. What is happening right now? This has never happened in our lives ever. We don't know what's going on. Like,
I feel really bad for her because she's saying we in this situation, but it's like, it's her. It's not Ned. It's not both of them. It's her. I know he was there and I get what she's saying, but it was just her. Ned fully probably knew cheating, what would have happened if he was caught. He did it for a year or up to a year. They had a relationship outside of his marriage, and he would have known what would have happened, and he would have known that the press would be there. And that's probably why he badly attempted to hide it for so long. Like, yes, he was going into public, but obviously he didn't want it to be publicized, So no, I think this is very much a her and not them. And I understand why she's saying them. They were both there and stuff like that. But I almost feel like he's getting away with his villainous actions here, to be honest with you.
Just get to our car, and we're just like, just smile, like they're not gonna hurt us. Who are these people? Everything's fine. Oh my goodness, yeah. That was the strangest situation. It was so bizarre.
I remember our neighbors during that time were doing some roof repair work, and so there was this
there's like a construction
unmarked
van.
White van outside of our house, and it was parked there for like weeks, and we had it in our heads that it was a paparazzi van, and
it absolutely was not. But it was like the strangest thing.
It's crazy that she had to deal with all of this. Like, she couldn't even look at cars without thinking that it was somebody out to try to get them. And that, again, all comes down to Ned.
I thought,
but just, for weeks, anytime you walk out the door being like, oh, there's a van.
Yeah. That was really strange.
I can see how that caused you to really feel unsafe and mistrusting of the whole world.
And I'm sorry? Is he going to say it? Are you going to say sorry?
Just want to acknowledge that and
say
note that it's like because of things I did.
And say sorry?
Caused you to experience that.
And say sorry?
What what was that
Nope,
moment like? Whenever
No, sorry. Just, I want to acknowledge that, that's all on me. I've ruined your life pretty much, ruined our kids' lives. And that's that. No apology, just, I want to acknowledge it, but I'm not going to say sorry.
everything changed for you?
Awful, obviously. It was kind of surreal. I thought to myself, like, what would somebody who's been cheated on, like, what would somebody in a movie do?
Really?
I don't know. I wasn't thinking like of a specific movie or something like that. I was thinking like, what would, like, what do people do in this situation? Like, I wasn't thinking I wasn't thinking for myself. I was thinking like, what do I do next? And I remember we were in New York, and you were just picking me up from the airport. And I was so, like, naively, so you were driving a rental, and I just naively looked over to you in the driver's seat, and I was like, why was Grace in New York? Like, I didn't realize Grace was in New York. Why was she, referring to that picture that I had sent to you? And you looked over at me with this look on your face, and it was like the veil just fell, like this, like I knew in my brain that something was going on, but I just sort of refused to believe it. And then when I saw that, like, just wildly guilty look on your face, like you wanted to tell me something, and I didn't even let you say anything. I was like, turn this car around. You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember it happening.
Yes, you do! Who are you lying to? You obviously remember that. That's probably one of the biggest, most memorable moments of his life, when his wife realized, caught him red-handed, that he was cheating on her. Who are you lying to, buddy?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does matter, because by you pretending that you don't know, you can't remember that, it's almost like you're trying to make it seem that it didn't happen. But, maybe you're remembering it a different way or something like that. But I can't remember it happening. So, no, you would remember that shit, man. I remember, like, all the big moments of my life. Who doesn't? That's a normal human thing. It imprints in your mind. The big things. Like, I can remember certain things from my childhood, from involving my parents and stuff like that. You latch onto these things, especially when it's your wife catching you out cheating, and you realizing in that moment, oh, my life's about to completely flip on its head because I've been a terrible husband. You would remember that, and it shows to me he has not changed. He has not learnt, because he's still lying. He's still lying about this, in my opinion.
How do you remember it happening?
Oh, I mean, you asked
I
me.
mean, that's a man that knows he's lying. She clocked it. She clocked it. She was like, this is how it went. And he's like, I don't remember it like that. He says, she says, how did it go then? He's like, oh, that's a man that knows he's lying. I can tell you, as a man, when we lie, that's when you realize it. That's how they lie. It's like I've been called out on my lie, and instantly, and I don't have an answer because it was a lie, and I didn't really think any further than that.
A couple of different follow-up questions as I just sort of answered them. And then, once I answered it in such a way that you knew exactly
So it did happen.
who it was.
You basically said that it didn't happen that way, but now you're saying it did happen that way. So you lied, got caught out, and now you're basically admitting that it did happen that way. But you're just trying to add maybe there was a few more questions there.
What had happened? Yeah, then you were like, take me back to the airport.
But you just said that didn't happen, pretty much. Am I going crazy right now? Or he said that he doesn't remember? Let's go back.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember it happening like that, but it doesn't matter.
he just then, about 15 seconds later, admits to pretty much the same thing.
As I just sort of answered them. Asked me a couple of different follow-up questions. As I just sort of answered them. And then, once I, answered it in such a way that you knew exactly who it was and what had happened, then you were like, take me back to the airport.
So it went down completely in the way that she said it. You tried to lie about it. She caught you out, and then you basically admitted that you were lying because you basically just told the exact same story that she was telling. So, yeah, again, bloke hasn't changed. And you can tell he hasn't changed because just listen to the tone of his voice. It's suddenly gone very quiet and very almost like bitter. He sounds very bitter, in my opinion. This is a man that almost sounds angry that he's been caught out. And he's been caught out again 3 years later for trying to recontextualize the situation. Like he told us earlier he was going to try and do. He basically at the beginning of this podcast said, I want to recontextualize a few things about what was happening from 3 years ago. And this is him trying it, and she did not let it happen.
Yeah.
That part was very cinematic. If you were trying to be like in a movie.
Turn this car around.
I mean, yeah, I think there was a lot of sort of delusions and rationalizations that you, as the person doing that, sort of are telling yourself as to why it's not so bad, or why it's going to be okay, or why actually this talked about it in this way. And then it's like, I remember that moment, it all just kind of like fell down, where I totally could see how devastated and just completely traumatized you were. And then it was just like, oh, everything changed for me as well. I'm like, oh no.
I don't care about that, buddy. I don't know why you're telling me that, mate. I don't care.
This is like I've been hurting this person that I love this whole time.
And even now, 3 years later, look at her face, man. She knows he's a bullshitter. But even 3 years later, you're still trying to hurt this person by lying on a podcast to try and, rebrand. She keeps giving mannerisms, which I don't know about you guys, but to me, it just kind of seems like she knows he's chatting a load of bollocks. But, gotta be civil. Father of your children, even if he is terrible, there was a one moment earlier where she sipped a cup after he said something, and it's like, you can tell there's some thoughts there, man.
You didn't realize until then.
Well, but then there's...
Oh my days! Do you know what I mean? There's some thoughts there. Jeez, man. She's coming for the throat, and I absolutely love that, man. I respect that so much. We still got 30 minutes to go through, 40 minutes to go through. Jesus.
There's other things you tell yourself to kind of sort of compartmentalize, or I guess.
Oh god, she hates him. Look, that's not a face of someone that likes you, man. If Ned Fulmer had any respect for himself, he'd end this interview right now and just run from the internet, because that's not a face of love. That's not a face of love. I'm sorry, it's not. I thought this was going to get better. I thought this was like, okay, they get through the hard stuff in the first 20 minutes, but look at this pause. I didn't even mean to deliberately pause it here, but they both hate each other. They clearly do. I mean, we've known he does it for years, because you don't cheat on your wife you have 2 kids with if you don't hate them. I'm sorry. And that's not a justification, by the way, but you do not love a person if you cheat on them. You don't. There's no way in how you can justify cheating and claim you still love them. I'm sorry. And she, rightly so, does not like this man, from what I can see.
Interesting.
Come on, man. Come on.
It's sort of a...
It's so awkward. It's so awkward.
It's like
how could this get awkwarder?
Like a addictive cycle, kind of.
Of what? Fucking somebody else?
Feeling really guilty and ashamed, and then telling yourself the ways in which it's, kind of just lying to yourself. And
tell us these things that you used to justify your actions with at the time. I'd love to know, because he didn't say it, but it almost felt like he was going to say that, oh, telling yourself ways if this is actually okay. That's kind of what I thought he was about to say. You can clearly hear that he was like, just go back to that about 3 seconds before. It looked like he was going to say something and then changed his mind.
in which it's,
Right there.
kind of just lying to yourself.
It looked like he was about to say, telling yourself this is actually okay. And I'd love to know what he was originally going to say there, because I think it is that, and I'd love to hear his justifications for his previous actions.
And then, yeah.
Oh, this is awful. This is too much. It's so.
And I did want to tell you.
This is why I couldn't do this scripted. Because it's just too much, bro.
There was probably a small part of me that was sort of
What?
relieved to
No, there wasn't! Who are you lying to?
not be keeping a secret. I guess.
Shut the. Calm down. This is something a lot of cheaters love to do, where they get caught out, and they're like, ha ha! Boy, am I glad that I don't have to carry a secret around anymore. It's like, no, you're lying, you're gaslighting, you're manipulating everyone by, at least attempting to manipulate everyone, in particular your wife here, by once again trying to come off as the nice guy. I know I had 2 children with you, we got married, and I have a business with my friends, but I'm just gonna deal with the struggle. I'm gonna deal with the struggle of engaging in a relationship with somebody that I employ who's also engaged. I'm just gonna have to deal with that struggle for a year, and I'm glad that it's finally over, because it was a bigger struggle for me than it was for all of you guys. And I'm glad that we can finally sit down and get down to it on the new Ned Fulmer podcast. Please subscribe. I'm here all year, baby, because I've got nothing else to do, as everyone in my life who was previously my friend absolutely hates me. She doesn't believe any of that.
Is that hard for you to hear?
It's hard because it's bollocks.
No, that part's not hard for me to hear.
But the other part?
I think it's, I've done a lot. I've spoken a lot with other betrayed partners over the last 3 years. And it's something that I've heard a lot. This idea of, like, when there's this sense of relief when the partner who's doing the betraying is able to finally tell the betrayed partner that about all the things that they have been doing, and kind of put their shame onto the other partner. They, in that, like, sort of release of their like, of all of that, like,
yeah, shame and guilt
and guilt that they've been holding. It's almost like they feel so much relief, but the partner then has to accept it. And that's exactly what happened. When you told me, suddenly then I had to take all of that guilt and shame of your affair.
That's the thing.
And
it doesn't just end at the telling of the I'm cheating on you. It only begins there, really, because now you're going to have to deal with, the most difficult stage. That's the grieving. That's the realization that your life has just been completely flipped upside down, and you've been living a lie pretty much for the last few years because your husband isn't who he you thought he was. And everything changes from there. Like, even, like, there's like a part of it where it's like you almost just want to ignore it and put it out of your mind, because then at least you can try and continue with what you thought normality was. But if you confront that, you now have to actually change everything in your life. And that's so much more difficult than just, it's almost like the blue pill, the red pill, isn't it? Like, you can take the red pill and realize that things aren't the way you thought they were, or you can take the blue pill and eat the tasty steak and, everything's great. But the reality is you're going to be ignoring the truth. And the truth is this guy is a terrible guy, and he clearly hasn't learned, in my opinion.
And it was so much to carry.
Yeah.
So much. Like, and I know that suddenly something that like you had, that, and it, like the wild thing is that this was something that you had done, like,
and yet she was dealing with it.
I had no part in this. This was not, like, you could even say that you had done this to me, like I was the victim of this situation. And yet when you told me, I had to like accept your guilt and your shame.
And I think a lot of that does come down to them having a life together, having a house together, having children together, having so much together. It's like, unfortunately, because of all those attachments, you have to accept it. I think this kind of comes down to what I mentioned on my second channel and earlier in this video of like, if I had a friend who cheated in a 3-month relationship when they're like 21, there's no attachments there. It's a bad thing to do, don't get me wrong, and I think you're a dick, but it's less impactful because at least you're not risking as much. Like, yes, I still think you're bad for doing it, but I think this is a whole generational level of complete awfulness because you have created an entire life together. You have so many things that just can't go away overnight. They're there forever, and you've still violated that. That's why this is so bad, and that's why she's been forced into accepting this, in my opinion.
And in our like society where couples are, especially married couples, like when men have affairs, women are often looked at as like, well, what did you do wrong? And it is so hard to get out from under that of like, well, what did you do to make him look elsewhere? Were you not a good enough wife? Were you not, did you not make him happy enough? And there's so much shame there. And I'm so tired of holding that.
I feel so bad.
I'm so
for
tired
her.
of holding it.
It's clear, as she just said there, holding on to all of this, it's so difficult. And it feels like such an impossible situation to navigate because no matter what, this guy will be in her life forever, unfortunately. And it's just, how do you get around that? It's such it's like a paradox. You can't escape this. You can break up, but he's still going to be there because of the attachment to the children, no matter what. Even if they don't speak for years and years, the fact is the name's still going to be there because he's the father of her children. It's an impossible thing to navigate. And not just that, it's not just a children thing, it's her personal life as well has been flipped upside down. Years of her life, man, basically just now they're completely and permanently stained. It's such a horrible circumstance to be in.
How does it make you feel to hear that? I mean, did it ever occur to you that like not only did you having an affair just it shattered our marriage, but it also like all of that guilt and shame, you like hoisted that on me.
I mean, she's coming
you
for the
gave
jugular
that.
here. I'm gaining more and more respect as we go through this, man, because she is not letting down on this. She is not letting him get out of this without facing all of the repercussions, and that's the best way to go. I was really worried coming into this that this was going to be a very, very meticulous, kind of like carefully navigated thing, but it's like, no, this is going to be straight to the point, and I love that.
To me. And now I have to carry that around for the rest of my life.
I don't think it's fair that as a society you're put in that position.
Don't make this a societal thing. Like, yes, obviously what she's saying there, some of it can be attributed to society in terms of like, oh yes, there are things of where a husband cheats on their wife and people blame the wife because of, how misogynistic society is. And I completely understand that she can talk about that. But hey, let's not hear that from you, man. Let's not hear that from you, because you're the reason that she's in that position. You're the reason that she's having to deal with those misogynistic undertones of society. Not undertones, but just misogyny in society. You're the reason for that. So don't just jump into this of how do you feel about all of this to, oh yeah, it's sad that society is like this. It's your fault. So don't do the whole society thing, buddy. We know this is on you.
It's certainly not true. And no, it's not something that I imagined as I was doing that. I think none of it was. If you really like let it sink in just how much you're hurting your partner and how devastating it is, like, how could you do that?
I mean, how could you?
It's still very difficult now, even 3 years later, to see you in pain as you're talking about that. And I guess there's nothing I can do to change the past or to...
I mean, the only reason you're saying that and the only reason it makes you sad is because you feel guilty because you've been caught. If you actually had these feelings, you would have stopped. You wouldn't have cheated in the first place, but you would have stopped the moment it happened. Then maybe you can say it was a one-time mistake. And even then, that's not a justification. That's not a valid reason. That's still a premeditated action. But at least then, you would have known in the moment to stop. But no, you continued for ages and ages. You engaged in a full-on relationship with that person. And now you only have regret because you were caught out.
Or to help.
It's kind of weird to think about it now, because I feel like I'm in a really good place now, and going back to like before I discovered the affair, it feels like going back to this weird fantasy world where like, I don't know, I thought we had this love that like transcended.
Oh, that's so sad.
I don't know. But it was a fantasy. It was...
And again, there's also that to deal with. This is what I mean if it's not just to do with the children, but it's also to do with her feelings, She thought that she was in this dream scenario where she had this loving husband who was literally known as the wife guy, and all of that was a lie. I don't know how anyone can go and move on with their life after that. I don't know how anyone can go and date other individuals after going through what she's gone through. She thought she had the perfect husband, and even then, that was not true, and it was the absolute opposite of that. How can you ever trust anyone in a relationship again after that?
It was like, I trusted you so completely. And I mean, we grew up together. And
he threw it in her face.
We got married when we were like in our early 20s.
Yeah.
We were babies. We had nothing. I mean, we moved out to LA with just our car full of stuff. I mean, I'm like tearing up just thinking about it. We were just
Again,
kids.
it's also the fact that they were together for so long, man. And he has basically he's took a lot of her life away from her, you know, by making that all redundant. Now, obviously, not everything is redundant. They still have kids, they still have memories and stuff like that, but it's permanently stained. And it's so much more selfish to think about that you would stay with someone for that long and still do what he did. It's so unbelievable, genuinely like evil. It's so messed up. It makes you angry to even think about. And I don't know how he can come on here and expect people to consume his content and expect people to forgive him when this is the reality of it, man. It shows who you are as a human being if you can do what he did after everything that he was given by her. It's absolutely sickening, to be honest.
And it's like, it really was a fantasy. And I just think, how could you do that to me?
Yep.
Like, who are you?
Is he not going to answer? Oh, it's so awkward. I feel like you kind of have to watch this with someone reacting to it. Otherwise, it's going to be the most awkward experience of your life because there is so much dead air here. It hurts. It physically hurts to hear.
I'm so sorry.
I'm Ned Fulmer, and this is my new podcast, is what he meant to say.
Like, we had so much.
This is not a really nasty comparison, but I'm getting, you know that scene in Breaking Bad where it's Skylar White and Walter White at the dinner table with Jesse Pinkman? I feel like I'm Jesse Pinkman right now, just like sipping my drink throughout all of this and just hearing their horrible relationship issues. I don't know why. It's just giving me that, that vibe right now.
There was so much.
She even has the same haircut as Skylar White. But she doesn't run a drug empire, I should say.
We had so much life left.
Oh, it's so sad. It is so sad, man.
We still have so much life left. I don't know why I'm crying.
Because you've had 10 plus years of your life taken away from you, pretty much. Or at least it now feels like a lie. Like, I can't imagine being with somebody, having a life with someone and kids with someone and having that stripped away and shown to be a lie. I can't imagine how someone gets, like, she's such a strong person, but like, for I know that everyone says, oh, this person's strong, but like, the strength you have to continue after this and even continue to co-parent after this with this horrible person, it's bravery to the maximum extent. It's such a horrible thing to hear.
I think it's like the loss of that dream that we both had.
Not just a dream, mate, but the fact that you stole years and years from this person.
It felt like that in that time period for me too.
What? Can I get that again, please?
Like the loss of that dream that we both had. It felt like that in that time period for me too.
Shut up, man. Just stop talking. Look at her face, man. She knows it. She's doing the speed reaction gif where he's like that. She's trying to hold it in almost, it seems. Like, she knows that this is bollocks, and I know that this is bollocks. And again, it shows that he has not changed or accepted that he's done a terrible thing, because there's no way you can lie to me like this. If you, when you were caught cheating for, oh, my whole relationship with my wife that I cheated on has been a lie, it's the dream's dead. It's like, well, the dream's dead because of your actions. Surely you would know that, like, if it really was negatively impacting you this much, you would have stopped when you first cheated. Surely when you cheated and you thought, oh, this is going to devastate everything, this is going to ruin my life, ruin my wife's life, maybe then I could accept you saying what you're saying here, but you continued and persisted with this until you were caught out. So no, what you're doing here, again, is lying. You're just outright lying and gaslighting.
What happened?
Yeah, tell us.
Well. the dream started to break apart for me. And
When? What? When you were caught? When you were in the midst of cheating with somebody? When you were at a concert with somebody? When you were in a nightclub getting off with them? When you were out for drinks? When did the dream start to die, Ned Fulmer?
then, rather than being able to talk about it or to confront those feelings,
He's now trying to give a little sad twist on it, because again, he's not learned from his actions. So now we've got to give a little twist on it. Of I couldn't confront you. Shut up, man.
I wanted to. I guess I was
What? Selfish? An awful person? Terrible?
afraid to say.
Too afraid to say. Yeah. Okay. Were you too afraid when your tongue was in another woman's mouth? Were you too afraid then? In that nightclub? Were you too afraid then? Because you didn't seem that scared of being photographed when you did all of these things in public, by the way. So being afraid isn't an emotion that I would attach to you. You seem a pretty confident guy, considering you were going out in public and getting on with this stuff pretty confidently.
How I was actually feeling, and it seemed, I don't know.
You don't know. No one does.
I chose to deal with it and deal with like feelings that I was experiencing in a way that.
So he's justifying his actions seemingly. I'm kind of confused to what he's saying here. Is he saying that I was falling out of love with you, the dream was dying, so I decided to go out and sleep with my coworker? Sorry, my employee, my subordinate. Is that what he's saying here? Because that's kind of what it sounds like he's saying here.
Was really self-destructive and hurtful to you.
She knows it's bollocks.
And it wasn't like anything you did or like we had a bad marriage. It was about me. And
by the way, his justification's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. Do you want to know how I know it's a complete lie? Because about 15, 20 minutes ago in this podcast, he was saying that they tried to basically rekindle things. He was basically acting like he wanted to fix things, get back together. They went to marriage counseling. So his justification being, oh, I was basically falling out of love with you, the marriage was failing, and I then took that out on you by cheating on you. That's not true. That's not true. That's not his justification, because he wanted to continue with the relationship and the marriage. If you wanted that, then why would you be in that state of previously thinking that, oh, the marriage is declining and I'm going to go out and cheat? Why would you feel that way, but then try and want to be back with her after? Surely you would just end the marriage after you were caught out. To me, you were just incredibly selfish, and it just sounds like you're trying to make up a sub-story, which makes no sense.
Choices that I made and just actions that I took that I'll always regret.
You'll regret it because you're probably not a millionaire anymore, and that's because nobody wants to watch your videos anymore because they think you're bad.
Much pain I caused you.
And because how much pain I caused my bank account.
You know.
I know, buddy.
And I'm deeply, deeply sorry.
I mean, at least you finally said sorry.
And I'll spend my whole rest of my life trying to make amends to you. And to, show up differently, to lead a life of integrity, and to be a father that our children can learn from.
I don't want, personally, I don't think those kids should be learning from you, buddy. I don't think they should be learning from you, and I truly feel sorry for her that he is the father of her children. I truly do.
Because you did nothing to deserve this, and I completely, suddenly, violently shattered our marriage, our relationship, and like everything you knew, and yeah, it was all my fault. It was all.
See, he says these things of trying to be genuine, but he's also in the same podcast tried to recontextualize the situation multiple times. So it's like, pick one aisle, buddy. Do you feel completely bad about what you're doing, or you're going to lie about things? Like right now, this is the easy thing to be like, I'm sorry, yeah, I did really bad. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty details that she's asked him personally of how did she feel in this certain moment when he was caught out, he then got bitter, he then got quiet, he then kind of stopped speaking when it was actually difficult to really give his opinion on what happened in that moment. But when it comes down to easy words of, I'm sorry, I did really bad in this situation, I'll do everything to make it up to you, that's easy to say. But when it comes down to the real nitty-gritty details in this, he's messed up, and he's shown to us that he has not changed.
All choices that I made.
So where do we go from here?
Oh,
I mean,
God.
that's kind of where how we've been, what we've been working on, I guess, over the last 3 years. We can make new promises to each other as friends.
You can make new promises to her.
As co-parents. What was the thing that kind of started changing things for you?
Maybe just time. Time and,
This is so awkward.
I don't know, courage.
Yes.
And I mentioned making those authentic relationships, like finding those real friends.
Oh.
And they're like, I don't care that your life is messy. I really like you for who you are. I see your joy. I like every part of you.
Yeah.
And I want to be a part of your life. Like, don't push me away. You know?
It was a real moment of kind of discovering who your real, true, authentic friends are, and
Yeah.
kind of then cherishing that, and those people that you can kind of be completely yourself with.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They're not just seeing a one-dimensional version of you.
Yeah, totally.
When did things start to feel a little more safe for you?
Okay, so I feel like we've kind of got to like the ending point of what we need to watch. The rest is more going to be, about how she's kind of recovered from this and how she's managed to move on from this. And that is an interesting conversation. But I think the main reason that we were here is mainly to go through the chunk of where they speak about the actions of what happened. And I recommend going to watch the rest if you want to hear about Ariel Fulmer's journey. But as you can kind of see, this whole thing, this podcast was one of the messiest, worst interviews I think I've ever seen in a very, very long time. It's full of gaslighting. It's full of manipulation. It's just an overall horrible watch. And as you can see, the whole thing went down absolutely terrible. He's trying to interview her like a therapist or victim. It's wild when he literally destroyed her entire life. And it's so true. This podcast indicates to me personally that he's not changed. He really hasn't. It kind of just feels like a desperate attempt at rebuilding a brand, coming back to social media. And overall, yeah, it's embarrassing. And yes, this return was a monumental fail for Ned Fulmer. So yes, this podcast and interview was an unmitigated disaster. This was something that went... It was just an absolute mess. I could only really compare it to the Colleen Ballinger ukulele video, where you look at this video and you think to yourself, how did you really think this was going to go? You look at it, you look at these influencers and think, how out of touch are you, where you genuinely believed the internet, your former audience who left you, abandoned you because of your own actions, how did you think they were going to respond? This interview is so terrible that in years and years' time, it will act as a handbook to influencers of how not to respond to controversy. But I think what makes this even more worse is the fact that, well, apparently, according to comments out there, this channel that Ned is uploading these podcasts onto was actually his previous family channel that he ran with Ariel before he was exposed for cheating, and now he's completely rebranded it and changed it into this new brand. And I don't know about you, but that just feels like an extra kick in the teeth in this story to the Try Guys audience. Like, why could you at least just not allow that channel to fade into history, into existence of it could be a relic of a better time? You could have just started another channel, but no, he decided to apparently get rid of that and start the new brand. I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way, and clearly all of this rubs the audience the wrong way. Because he even tried to come back onto Instagram, posting reels from the clips of his new podcast, and the comments were just basically telling him to leave the internet and even thanking him for posting because they didn't realize that they were still following him, and now they're going to unfollow. Yeah, it really was going down absolutely tremendously for the guy, and it's clear that the guy was also very, very alert to what people were saying, because now he's stopped posting clips from his podcast. He hasn't posted at this point of time any clips from his latest episode onto Instagram. And yeah, I don't really think I've ever seen a return just go down this badly. Like, I genuinely thought to myself, well, there's going to be some people out there that are going to want to consume the content. He's going to have some dedicated fans. Like, I've seen Onision get tens of thousands of views in 2025. So surely Ned Fulmer, who is a lot less worse than Onision, could do something. But no, it's just going down hilariously. Overall, this is one of the biggest fails I've ever seen in terms of a rebranding and return to the internet. Influencers love to leave and come back, but this is probably the best case of how to not do a return after controversy. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, what actually happened to the rest of the Try Guys? Well, to this day, they're actually still doing fairly well. Zach and Keith are killing it on the Try Guys channel, and Eugene himself actually left the channel in 2024. I believe he's still slightly attached to it, but he's very, very rarely ever in videos anymore. But it's clear that these guys have kicked on after what happened in 2022 and have completely avoided Ned Fulmer, and rightly so. They all seem to be doing really well. They haven't had any failed rebrands or failed returns, and it's nice to see that after everything, they have been able to continue with their careers. And I think that comes down to the fact of what I was mentioning earlier of at one point of time, the Try Guys were almost seen as YouTube royalty. The four of them before 2022 were loved, respected, and looked up to. And that is reflected in the fact that even though there was all of this controversy, the other Try Guys have successfully moved on with their careers, whereas Ned Fulmer has not. He is desperately clinging on for life in terms of social media and really wants back, but is just being rejected at every single point. And I guess it brings us to the ending point of this video. Actually, no, I lied. The story isn't over, ladies and gentlemen, because we have to come into this with a bit of an update, hence we're at the computer right now, and yes, this is to do with Ned Fulmer's career, because obviously we've been going over this new podcast rebranding and it being an absolute failure. Well, this week of recording this video, a new update has come out that shows to us what Ned Fulmer is deciding to do now his podcast has failed, and it's a bit of an interesting turn of events. Ned Fulmer, he's now doing professional boxing. As you can see here, Vice have released an article that says, ex-Try Guys member Ned Fulmer makes bizarre pro wrestling debut. Yes, interesting. And you can see here, it's Ned Fulmer in a wrestling ring. It says, as if we weren't already living in the strangest timeline, former Try Guys member Ned Fulmer is now trying his hand at professional wrestling. The Try Guys are a YouTube group that gained popularity during their time at BuzzFeed. Eventually, they created their own company, but Fulmer's workplace cheating scandal changed the trajectory of their channel. Hey, I'm pretty sure I said that word for word earlier. Following Ned Fulmer's departure, Eugene Lee Yang left to pursue other creative endeavors, now just with leaving it to original members. Fulmer appeared in his hometown of Jacksonville, Florida, for a surprise dark match for AEW. He wore a blue AEW Duval shirt with cut-off sleeves, teaming with the Spanish announced project Angelico and Serpentico against the frat house. I don't know who any of these people are, but as you can see, if it loads, he's a professional boxer, and this is such a bizarre turn of events. And the worst part is, it's like, he kind of fits the role. Like, I mean, you know, it's weird. It does look weird. Somebody said this was a bonus match and not for TV, which makes us even more confusing because I doubt he's even getting paid. But you can say, hey, y'all, this is a major spoiler, but I go to the bathroom and come back, and it's Ned Fulmer on AEW. Go away, lose it. Yeah. I don't know what it is with supervillains and influencers and joining the wrestling scene. First we have Logan Paul, now we've got Ned Fulmer. It says, this follows his re-emergence on social media with his new podcast, Rock Bottom with Ned Fulmer. In a debut episode, Fulmer and his estranged wife, Ariel, sit down for an hour-long episode. And as we just saw, it's a complete and utter mess. In an interview with the Rolling Stone, Ned and Ariel open up about their current dynamic co-parenting their 2 children. Ariel admits that Ned didn't ask her to do the... What? Ariel also admits that Ned didn't ask her to do the podcast. She felt it was necessary for them to move on. To be honest, Ned didn't even ask me to do it. It was a sort of situation where I knew he wanted to go back online. And yeah, she's basically just saying that they had to do this. And in general, it's looking worse and worse for the guy. Ned adds, everyone is stuck in the past, and that kind of makes you feel stuck in the past. And I think we felt that in order to move on into any future project, we were ready to just take that step to share our story and move on. And it's like, sorry, but why are you blaming us, saying we're stuck in the past? The past was you ran away from the internet and then you randomly came back with this rebrand that was absolutely terrible and made you look even worse and more embarrassing. We're not stuck in the past. That was just the last update, so therefore the last thing we knew about you. And now we're definitely not stuck in the past because we think you're even more rebellant. But I guess this is also a big reason to why he wanted to come back. Now, there are a few TikToks showing actual footage. What am I witnessing? Insane place to see nasty Ned. I was a pretty good WWE name, to be fair. What's this guy doing?
Seems like Ned Fulmer's podcast didn't work out the way he wanted to, because now he's on to his next thing, professional wrestling, and no, that is not a joke. He made his debut last night in the...
Yeah, overall, I think the entire internet is just absolutely really confused about what's going on. And I feel like this is a good summary to end where Ned's career is currently at. He's guest starring on bonus events at wrestling shows, and I don't know if this is going to be a new career thing. Maybe it was just a bonus event for Ned. Maybe he thought this would be a good way to win some people over. I don't know if it's going to personally win me or you over, but either way, this is where Ned Fulmer is at in 2025, and I'm just so confused. I say I'm so confused to how we got here in a video that I just spent 3 hours explaining how we got here, but even so, I'm confused to how he thought the idea of doing wrestling would be a good move after this podcast. But either way, let's just end it there. Let's just end it there. This has been a mess. I don't know what's going on. Bye-bye. And I'm saying bye, but here's me ending the video. Where can Ned go from here in terms of social media? Well, in my opinion, I don't think the guy's really changed much at all, and that comes from the fact of everything we've gone through so far in the podcast reaction, but also just looking at his actual rebrand in general. I don't know if this guy has changed, and it's clear in my opinion that a lot of the internet feels a very similar way. So overall, I think this guy's gonna have to accept that, well, a social media career may not be his future. Maybe he can get a job somewhere else, but I don't really think there's any interest in a Ned Fulmer YouTube channel anymore. I mean, I'm sure he's going to continue and maybe he'll strike success at some point, but right now, I feel like there really isn't an audience there. So to kind of wrap things up, this has been the downfall of Ned Fulmer, and I think it is overall a lesson that you can take of, well, hey, if you run a successful business with your best friends, you have a wife and 2 children, probably don't cheat on your wife with an employee who works at your company. And hey, I know it's pretty niche, but it's the life lesson of today's video, because yes, to conclude things, this has all been an absolute mess. No, Ned Fulmer is not a criminal. He's not going to go to jail for any of this, but I think an important lesson to take again is you don't have to be a criminal or break the law to be seen as a dick or a bellend. And I think there's this thing on the internet of where we are naturally obsessed with getting all of the criminals out and away and banned from the internet, that we seem to think that when someone hasn't done a criminal action, that means it's completely excusable. But no, I think the internet here has agreed that, well, this isn't excusable, and shows us that for years and years, this guy faked a persona, so in my opinion, he could get away with cheating on his wife. And with that, my friends, I'll end the video there. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on everything that transpired in this situation. If I missed anything out, please let me know in the comments section. I would love to know. And yeah, let me know what you think about all of this. Will you be watching Ned Fulmer's podcast in the future? I genuinely would love to know. And I'd also love to know why. Is it because it's an interesting concept? Because I don't deny it is. I just don't really know if Ned Fulmer is the right guy to, be the host of that podcast. Him being interviewed by a host, that makes sense. Him being the host, I don't know, Chief. It doesn't really sit right with me. But yes, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. And also, please don't forget to check out my podcast. It's in the description. Thank you very much. And yeah, that is the end of the video. Thanks for coming along, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone. I promise I will not be gone for another month. See you later. Bye-bye.